Arth has been called brilliant before, but calling him the hero's second coming is straight up criminal glazing. Bro is already having the worst day of his life, and somehow he still counts it as a blessing that he got to meet this guy. That is how cooked his mental state is right now. It all starts during a combat match where Arth gets folded into the dirt. He is down in the mud with a girl standing over him, sword pointed right at his face, and even though she is wearing shorts, our boy still gets absolutely nothing from this angle. The crowd keeps yapping, and that is how we learn the girl is Princess Fiancé, daughter of Solja, one of the 7 heroes. She looks cold enough to freeze soup, but she still gives Arth some pointers, and even admits he has improved since their last match. Then she reminds him that his sword magic is still not there yet. Arth bites back by saying he has totally lost face in front of the esteemed princess, but Fiancé instantly shuts that down. She says everyone is equal in this academy, and on top of that they are childhood friends, so him using honorifics is just rude. For a second you think, wow, she might actually be nice. Then she ruins it immediately by nagging that they are almost at graduation and he still has not beaten her even once. She keeps going too, saying he is supposed to join the knights and protect the royal palace after graduation, so getting packed up by the princess every time is not exactly a great look. Now if you are wondering why she talks to him like she is his unpaid life coach, here is the ugly truth. Fiancée Depardieu is the imperial princess of the nation, and ever since she enrolled in the academy, Arth has never managed to steal first place from her in anything, whether it is combat or academics. She keeps lecturing him, but Arth is not even listening anymore. His ears are closed to her and wide open to the girls gossiping behind him. The crazy part is those girls are actually complimenting him. They are impressed by his strength, his face, and all that good stuff. But Princess Hater-in-Chief is not about to let that slide. She teleports over to them at light speed and starts dumping all kinds of slander on Arth's name like she is running a defamation campaign. She looks way too desperate doing it too. The girls immediately back off and tell her to relax because they never saw Arth as boyfriend material anyway. Great, now our boy has another reason to be annoyed with her, because apparently she does this every single time. Anyone with 2 working brain cells can tell this behavior means something, but our dense male lead is running on anime protagonist software, so he decides she must just hate him. Every time another girl starts giving him decent vibes, this princess comes in like a hurricane and ruins everything. Still, Arth is not even that mad, because his heart is already set on someone else. But then Fiancé notices he is leaving, panics and steps right on a mine by reminding him that his father, the hero, would be disappointed if he kept turning out like this. Inside the academy building, the students are just hanging around like normal teenagers because the world is finally at peace. But the guards are built like professional fun killers, so naturally they hate seeing kids relax. They spot Arth still training during break like the diligent little grinder he is, and instead of respecting that, they start gossiping about how he always comes in second place. Arth hears every bit of their trash talk and starts thinking about the 7 heroes, the great men who saved humanity from the Demon King. His father was one of them, and that makes things worse because as the son of a hero, his own abilities always feel lacking. No matter what he does, he always comes in second to the princess, both in the classroom and with the sword. One of the guards says the children of the other heroes are all crazy talented, and the other says those kids are just prodigies. At that point, Arth has had enough of their NPC commentary, so he says he is sorry for showing such a pitiful sight in front of the great Imperial Knights. The sarcasm is so thick you could cut it with a butter knife, but these bozos still do not catch it. They just keep talking and tell him he should not waste time when his father defeated the Demon King at only 18. Then they add that once he graduates and joins the Imperial Knights he will be trained properly. And right then, because the universe loves kicking people when they are down, a voice from behind agrees with the guards and even tells them to take care of his dumb son. Yup, the man himself has arrived, Arth's father, the hero. Our boy is shocked because his father is always busy, but if you thought he would show up and actually act like a decent parent, absolutely not. This man just walks in and rubs more salt into the wound by bringing up the fact that Arth lost to Fiancé again. He says that sure, he also used to lose to Fiancé's father Solja all the time, but Arth's opponent is a girl, which is somehow supposed to make this worse. Then this fossil starts talking about how he and Arth's mother got drafted into battle while they were still academy students. Bro is doing the classic back in my day combo while his son is visibly imploding in front of him. Arth finally pushes back and says that if his father actually watched his sword training from the start and helped him, he could probably beat Princess Fiancé. That sounds fair, right? Wrong. His sorry excuse for a father just says he is too busy with work, so Arth should learn from the Academy's sword instructor and Sadith, since she has an advanced knight certificate. That is when you realize this man has contributed basically nothing. Arth taught himself everything, from academics to swordplay, and these people still pile expectation after expectation on his head like he is some self-service hero machine. He trained all this time trying to live up to those expectations and beat that monster called first place. Yet even after all that, his father has the nerve to say that Arth is just the type who grows slowly, so he needs to be patient. That is the final straw. Arth snaps and asks what he even means by the type that grows slowly when he is the one who never paid attention to his own son. He says he is already working hard while other people get to be carefree. So why is he the one being called impatient? Why can he not just be second? Why does he always have to be first? He gets that his father is trying to comfort him in some weird broken hero dad way, but he is already giving it everything he has. A little praise would not kill the old man. Arth leaves because he does not want pity. Deep down, this is just a severe case of notice me senpai, but that does not make it hurt less. After that emotional beatdown, Arth heads home and runs into the person everyone calls a maid, even though she is way more than that. Sadith takes one look at him and says classes should still be going on, so he needs to turn around and go back. She is technically his personal maid, but she is really more like a distant older sister. She was a war orphan before he was born, and his mother took her in. Also, let us not ignore the obvious. She is beautiful, her personality is twisted, and our boy has been down catastrophic for her for a while now. Arth tells her he had a headache, so he left the academy early. Sadith, who knows him way too well, says he has the mental fortitude of a slime and instantly figures out that he lost to the princess again. Even she says she expected it would be too much for him, and bro is out here getting folded by everyone today. Arth says it was not exactly a favorable outcome. With his grades, he is basically guaranteed a spot in the Imperial Knights, and that is what everyone expects of him anyway. Sadith immediately connects the dots and realizes he must have run into his father earlier, but then she accidentally steps on another mine when Arth sarcastically thanks her for the kind words. He says he is sick of being called the son of a hero. Everyone puts their expectations on him whenever it is convenient, and then he disappoints all of them anyway. Sadith actually gets serious for once, and says that yes, people really have placed unreasonable expectations on him. It is common knowledge that the hero who defeated the Demon King had a rough time at the academy, but unlike him, Arth has actually built an impressive record there. So naturally people want to watch his dazzling growth and dream big for him. She says those hopes are basically proof that he is precious to everyone. And just like that, Arth gets hit with emotional support from the one person whose nice side always catches him off guard. He blushes a little because when Sadith drops the usual teasing and shows genuine care, it hits different. This is exactly why he fell for her in the first place. Then she says if he does his best, she can prepare a secret reward for him. Arth almost short-circuits on the spot, only for her to immediately reveal that the reward might just be his favorite omelet from childhood. Bro got baited so hard, she teases him by asking what exactly this young adolescent boy thought the reward would be. Arth snaps back with a shut up because he knows she is teasing him on purpose. She absolutely knows how he feels and chooses violence anyway. To lift his mood, Sadith tells him it is time for the annual cleaning of the sealed room. Once they get to the chamber, Sadith hands him the keys because she still has to get more cleaning supplies. She tells him to look around in the meantime and says he can enjoy the Sword of Legend exhibit. Then she jokes that if he is lucky, maybe he can loot it. Obviously she is kidding, but Arth still feels the need to make it clear that he is not about to steal the sword. He takes the keys and walks up to a giant door wrapped in heavy chains like the kingdom really wanted everyone to know. Whatever is inside is above his pay grade. Before Arth was even born, a massive war tore through these lands. On one side were the demons and their king, and on the other side were the 7 heroes leading humanity. In the end, humanity won, the demon army got packed, and the demon king was slain by Arth's father's sword. That same sword now rests on a sealed pedestal behind this door. When Arth was little, seeing it always made his heart race, but now he tells himself he is not a kid anymore, so it probably will not do much for him. Famous last words. He unlocks all the chains, opens the heavy door, and then immediately runs into something way beyond his expectations. Floating in the middle of the room is a man with horns. The guy casually comments that it has been a year since the door was last opened. Arth is stunned out of his soul, but the horned man just keeps muttering to himself that this is the 15th time the gate has opened, so 15 years must have passed. While Arth is trying to process the horns and the whole "why is there a demon-shaped dude in my family's sealed room" situation, the demon is out here calmly noting that this time it is not the maid but the hero's offspring. Apparently he can tell just from the resemblance to that odious face. Arth finally stops buffering and demands to know who this intruder is and how he got inside. The demon is actually surprised that someone can see him, but Arth is way too panicked to notice the details. Right then Sadith walks in because Arth is making way too much noise. She asks if he really tried to take the sword. Arth, still freaked out, points at the weird horned guy in the room, but Sadith says there is nobody there, and jokes that messing with his virginity must have made him start seeing things. Then she asks if he is trying to prank her and calls it a weak attempt before leaving to get water. At this point the demon is intrigued because apparently the only one who can see him in this form is this kid. Arth meanwhile decides diplomacy is overrated and grabs a broom to start swinging at him. The demon dodges easily and immediately recognizes the magic sword technique, but says Arth's version is way off compared to Hero's magic sword. That only makes Arth angrier, so he charges again. The demon calmly tells him it is pointless and slips around his attacks without effort, saying none of it matters because he only has a spiritual body right now. Arth has no idea what that means, but the demon decides it has been a while since he last talked to anyone, so he may as well introduce himself properly. Then this horned menace drops the bomb with full dramatic flair. His name is Traynor, and he is the one Arth's father defeated. In other words, the great demon king himself just spawned in the room, like the plot hit fast forward. So this horned guy casually introduces himself as the great demon king Traynor, the same dude who got packed up by Arth's dad and only exists now as a history book villain. At this point, Arth's brain just refuses to process it. There is no way he just met the final boss from the textbooks, so he does what any sane person would do. He assumes it is all a weird dream and clocks out. Next thing you know, he wakes up to Sadith's panicked voice, and before he can even load in properly, she pulls him into a warm hug. Our boy is instantly flustered because this is not the kind of contact he is built to handle. He realizes he is back in his room, and Sadith explains that when she came back with water, she found him knocked out in front of the pedestal like he tried to speedrun death. She confirms he is fine, and right as she says that, another voice agrees. All Earth looks up, and there he is. The Demon King is just floating above his head like a ghost DLC nobody asked for. Arth almost jumps out of his skin, but Sadith once again tells him there is nothing there and refuses to play along with his great Demon King imagination. She straight up assumes his brain is glitching because of his virginity and leaves to make dinner. Absolutely ruthless. Traynor, meanwhile, calmly explains that Arth is the only one who can see or hear him. Arth is still doubting everything, but the Demon King smugly confirms his identity like he just dropped a verified badge. Arth decides to roll with it for now and asks the obvious question. Why is the Demon King stuck in their armory? Traynor explains that when he got defeated, his spirit got sealed inside the sword. Arth's dad stored it away without realizing what he just locked up, and because of that, Traynor has been trapped in that room for 15 years like a forgotten save file. On top of that, for some reason he is now bound to Arth, which is just fantastic news for absolutely no one. Arth does not like the idea of being haunted by the ghost of the final boss, but Traynor reads his face like an open book. Still, he admits he cannot interact with the physical world, and no matter what he tried, he could not separate from Arth. Now the Demon King is tired of being stuck in spectator mode, so he straight up orders Arth to take him outside. Arth immediately shuts that down. Hard no. Hearing that, Traynor switches to full villain mode, claiming he is the all-powerful Demon King, and Arth should kneel and obey. Arth, not being an idiot for once, reminds him that he literally just said he cannot interact with the world. The so-called omnipotent Demon King starts pouting like a child, and honestly, it is not helping his aura at all. Arth tells him to stop acting like that and reminds him he cannot even go out tonight anyway. But Traynor gets so close, invading his personal space like an unskippable cutscene, that Arth panics because you cannot exactly push away a ghost. In the end, he folds and agrees to take him out, but only for a quick walk. No world domination, just a casual outing. Unfortunately, that plan gets instantly cancelled when Sadith walks in with dinner. The moment she hears Arth wants to go out, she starts throwing knives at him like a ninja. Not to hurt him, just to remind him who is in charge. Even Traynor is impressed and starts questioning if she is really just a maid. Meanwhile, Arth is shaking under her death stare. She admits she was actually planning to pamper him today, since he looked depressed after getting bodied by the princess and arguing with his dad. She even brought him to clean the hero's sword, something he loved as a kid, and after he fainted, she planned a full-course recovery package with food and a personal bath. Our boy gets way too excited hearing that and suddenly remembers he is sick, but Sadith is not buying any of that. The moment she realizes he is healthy enough to go outside, she switches into punishment mode because he skipped classes. Both Arth and the Demon King are terrified, and whatever happens next is definitely not YouTube friendly. The next day, Arth is dragging himself to school like a zombie after last night's discipline. Sadith finally lets him go, but now he has a bigger problem. The Demon King is still there, acting like a kid on a field trip, asking about everything from street lamps to magic-powered vehicles. Traynor is fascinated because human society has evolved way beyond what he remembers. Arth calls him out for acting like a child, but still asks what he thinks of the city. Traynor says if he is being honest, humans have developed so much that they completely forgot the crisis they once faced. Everywhere he looks, he sees what he calls deplorable scenes, basically people living peacefully without a care. It annoys him so much that if he were still alive, he would wipe everything out. That line alone sends chills down Arth's spine. But then Traynor admits it does not matter. This peace exists because he lost. This world is the result of human effort and ingenuity. It is reality, and he has no power to change it. Still, if he could, he would destroy it all tomorrow. Bro is still salty 15 years later. Arth finds this strange because the Demon King in the textbooks is supposed to be a bloodthirsty monster, but the guy standing next to him feels different, almost reflective, almost lonely. But Arth is not about to say that out loud. Traynor then brings up his one regret, the fight against the hero's party. They claimed the sword carried the power of all humanity, and he even warned them it would cost him his life for real, but they still jumped him anyway. Now he is still mad that 7 people teamed up on him instead of running a clean one-on-one. He throws a whole tantrum about it, like a gamer complaining about getting third-partied. Arth asks about his own army, and suddenly Traynor goes quiet and tells him not to ask. Yeah, that hit something. But just like that, his mood flips when he spots something that absolutely breaks his villain aura. The man starts fangirling over a Destiny Stay Night sequel. The Great Demon King is now begging Arth to buy it because he has been following the series since he was alive. When Arth refuses, Traynor threatens to whisper in his ear all day until he buys it. That psychological warfare works instantly, and Arth folds just to keep his sanity. Traynor calls it a worthy purchase, and casually reminds him he can hear his thoughts anyway, so there is no escape. In class, Traynor asks about a girl, and Arth explains that she is Princess Fiancé, daughter of the hero Solja. Traynor is surprised and immediately starts analyzing her like a professional scout, saying she must be incredibly intelligent and highly skilled just from how she moves. Even her pen strokes are precise. Arth, already insecure, feels worse because even the Demon King is hyping her up. Before Traynor can say more, Arth gets smacked in the head with a book. The teacher catches him zoning out and calls him brave for not paying attention. He even exposes him for staring at Fiancé, which sends the entire class into laughter while she blushes hard. Ignoring the chaos, the teacher throws a question at him about the 3 major eyes and the Demon King's magic eye. Arth was not paying attention at all, but he remembers the basics and starts answering. That is when Traynor interrupts and says the information is wrong. He claims the Herald Eye is fake news and that he actually had the strongest one, the 6-gate eye. Arth blurts it out without thinking, shocking everyone including himself. The teacher gets mad because the answer is wrong, but Traynor keeps insisting he is right. Arth ends up getting punished and told to stay after school, while Traynor refuses to admit any fault and blames the teacher for being outdated. To make it worse, the teacher reminds Arth that as the hero's son, he is expected to be top tier, so he better not mess around like this. After school, Arth is walking home, blaming everything on Traynor. The Demon King asks about the match the teacher mentioned, so Arth explains the graduation match, the academy's biggest event where top students fight to show their skills in front of nobles and get scouted. Basically, it is career mode. Traynor asks if he is preparing seriously, and Arth casually says he is preparing to get embarrassed. Traynor does not even react to that, and instead brings up Fiancé again. Since he can hear Arth's thoughts, he calls out his envy, his belief that he cannot beat her, and his feelings of being inferior to his father. He straight up says Arth wants to get back at the world but already gave up because he thinks it is impossible. Then he drops a brutal comparison, saying Arth is like someone stuck in a wall, who gave up escaping the moment he realized he was weak. That hits a nerve hard. Arth finally snaps and yells that Traynor does not know anything about him. He talks about all the effort he put into training and studying, constantly failing and retrying while carrying everyone's expectations. Traynor is not impressed at all and calls it a weak argument. He says Arth's father was just a fool who stumbled into miracles again and again, and that is why Arth cannot surpass him. That is where Arth loses it completely. He fires back that the Great Demon King also lost. If Arth cannot surpass his father, then Traynor is the one who got defeated by that same man, and is now crying about it not being fair. Traynor insists he would have won in a one-on-one, but Arth calls it what it is. Excuses. Nothing but excuses. So he has no right to lecture anyone about strength. That is when Traynor finally drops the playful act. His presence shifts, and he releases overwhelming pressure that makes Arth freeze on the spot. The Demon King tells him not to speak to him like that, showing just a glimpse of his real power. Then he declares that he is stronger than the hero. Arth, still standing his ground somehow, asks the most logical question: how exactly is he planning to prove that when he is just a ghost? Traynor smirks and drops the real plan. If he cannot fight himself, he will use Arth instead. And just like that, the Demon King decides he is about to turn our struggling second-place boy into his next weapon, because apparently the comeback arc is about to go crazy. Traynor is suddenly hyped like he just found a new test subject. He says the match has not happened yet, so he wants to start by testing Aerith's overall ability. Aerith immediately shuts that down with a clean nah. No hesitation, no motivation, just pure rejection. Traynor asks why he is acting like this, and Aerith straight up says it is a pain. They only have 2 months before the match, and everyone already knows the princess is taking first place. That is not changing in 2 months. End of discussion. Traynor tells him that is just how he sees it, and beginners like him actually grow the fastest at the start. But Aerith is not buying that motivational speech. He says growth is not the issue. He has been grinding academics, doing solo training, and even getting coached by Sadith, who literally has an advanced knight certificate. And despite all that, that prodigy princess still dismantles him every single time. So at some point he just started feeling like the whole thing is a joke. Traynor notices the real problem immediately. This is not about talent. This is about motivation. When someone does not know their purpose, they lose the drive to improve. So he asks Aerith what his goal even is. Aerith replies that he is going to become an Imperial Knight, but Traynor hits him with the real question. Did he choose that for himself, or did someone else decide it for him? That one question hits harder than any sword. Trainor keeps going, saying that without a clear purpose, there is no way he can stay motivated. Aerith starts thinking about it and realizes that yeah, becoming an Imperial Knight would keep things stable, but that does not mean he actually wants it. Everyone expects him to follow his father's path, but he is not his father. He is his own person. Problem is, he has no clue what he actually wants. Trainor, who is basically reading his mind like subtitles, sighs and tells him to stop overcomplicating things. Forget long-term goals, set something simple, win the match in 2 months. Aerith thinks that is insane, but Trainor is already thinking ahead. He needs something to motivate him right now, and honestly, pure ideals like justice and peace are boring. Sometimes a slightly messed up motivation works better. Next morning, Trainor pulls out a ladder and spreads it on the ground like he is about to start a PE class. Aerith asks what this is, and Trainor proudly announces this is ladder training to improve stamina and agility. After this, he will teach him the ultimate step technique called the magical step. Aerith hears that name and immediately thinks it sounds lame, which causes the Great Demon King to pout again. Aura destroyed. Trainor decides to demonstrate. Aerith is hesitant because this is the same guy who used to terrorize the world. But then Trainor starts moving, and it looks so goofy that Aerith just freezes. The Demon King is explaining how to align his feet and jump forward without touching the ladder, but all Aerith can see is a fully grown Demon King hopping around like a gym class mascot. In his head, he straight up sees a Trainor cockroach. Unfortunately, Trainor can hear thoughts, so he shoots him a deadly glare. Aerith instantly apologizes and tries to shut his brain off. Trainor continues, now jumping side to side like a zigzag drill. This time Aerith imagines a wriggling Trainor shrimp. That is it. Another death glare. Then Trainor switches to alternating jumps like kids playing hopscotch, and now Aerith is imagining a group of children playing, except one of them is the Demon King trying way too hard to fit in. Trainor finally snaps and threatens to kill him if he keeps disrespecting the training. He goes full nagging mom mode, explaining that the point is to combine these movements with magic at the same time. Asura in A thinks it sounds simple. Just jump and use magic. Easy, right? Wrong. The moment he tries, his body refuses to cooperate. He cannot sync his movements at all. Trainor laughs and explains that this is exactly the point. This training improves footwork, agility, and control. By combining movement with magic, he learns to act without hesitation. Right now, his problem is that his body cannot keep up with his thoughts. It is like trying to write while having a conversation or singing over a louder melody. In real combat, that delay gets you killed, but is when it clicks for Aerith. That is exactly what happens when he fights Fiancé. By the time he reacts, it is already too late. Trainor tells him to stop thinking and keep training, and from now on he better respond with yes sir. Aerith actually listens and starts grinding. By the end of it, he is completely exhausted, legs shaking, head spinning, breathing like he just ran a marathon. Trainor casually says if he is this tired already, there is no way he is winning anything. This is just the Demon King's beginner training. Aerith is internally roasting the names again, but he cannot deny the results. If he is this cooked after basic drills, then he is in worse shape than he thought. Trainor tells him this will be his daily warm-up, and after that they will work on physical techniques. Aerith gets confused and asks when they are training swordsmanship, since his whole life has basically been copy dad swing sword. Trainor shuts that idea down immediately, Banal read bluntly. He says Aerith has no talent for swordsmanship. That one line hits like a truck. Aerith just collapses, because he has spent nearly 15 years training the sword every single day. All that effort gone. But Trainor continues and says he has been observing him, and Aerith actually has something his father does not: flexibility. He is more like his mother, the priestess Mamu, not his father. That means his strength is not in magic swords but in physical techniques. If he trains properly, he can grow in his own way and even surpass his father. For a moment, Aerith just laughs. The idea that the hero's son does not even use a sword sounds ridiculous, but then, he actually likes it. Imagine everyone's faces when they find out. He asks Trainor to guide him down this path, and for once the Demon King just smiles. Then Sadith walks in and ruins the whole moment by asking who he is talking to. Aerith panics and she immediately assumes he has finally lost it and made an imaginary friend. She notices the ladder and realizes why his bag was so big earlier. She even asks if he came up with this training himself. Aerith awkwardly says yes, with help from his imaginary friend. Somehow she just accepts it. She then hands him a menu he asked for, pulling it out from a place that immediately makes Aerith short-circuit. He thanks her while trying not to think about where that paper just came from. Trainor looks at the menu and says it is rich. Aerith thinks he means tasty, but no. Trainor explains that the meals are balanced perfectly. She is managing nutrition carefully to keep him healthy. Just from this menu, it is obvious she cares a lot about him. That hits Aerith right in the heart. Sadith lost her family during the war, and his mother saved her. Ever since then, she has been by his side. When his parents ignored him, she was the one who listened, praised him, and celebrated his achievements. She might not be family by blood, but to him she is more important than that. Trainor, who hears all of this, decides to be the worst wingman ever, and tells him to confess. Aerith suddenly declares that he will win the match in 2 months, and then his brain completely derails. Marriage feels too fast, kissing is too early, dating sounds okay, and somehow he ends up asking if he can touch her chest. Yeah, that just happened. The silence is lethal. Aerith instantly realizes he has fumbled beyond repair and starts apologizing at light speed, chanting sorry like his life depends on it. Sadith just stands there processing. Then she actually agrees. She calls him a disgusting little gremlin, but since he boldly declared he would win, she was momentarily impressed, so she makes a deal. If he wins the match, he can do it all day. And just like that, Aerith unlocks the most unholy motivation buff imaginable. He is now locked in. Traynor just watches this unfold, realizing this is exactly the kind of impure motivation he was talking about. So he agrees. They will win the match, for reasons. At that moment, Aerith feels unstoppable. Confidence maxed out, motivation through the roof. But as we all know, this kind of high never lasts long. For now though, Traynor tells him they are done warming up. That is time for Aerith to fight the Demon King himself. Traynor explains that shadowing and sparring are basic forms of physical training. Shadowing is where you imagine an enemy and keep dodging attacks in your head, while sparring is just a mock fight between two people. Naturally, because this is the Demon King, and he cannot name anything like a normal person, he combines the two and calls it phantom sparring. At this point, Aerith is already used to these bootleg final boss training names, so he just asks if that means they are doing a mock battle. Traynor says yes, and Aerith is actually interested for once. Up till now, all his practice fights at school have been either against total fodder, or against that monster in a skirt, Princess Fiancé. The gap is either too tiny to matter, or too massive to learn from. And let us be real, the academy is a controlled little sandbox anyway. It does not teach him real combat experience, so fighting the actual Demon King, even in practice, sounds kind of exciting. Traynor says he will not fly around too much, and will fight mostly the way he normally does. He even says Aerith can use magic if he wants. Aerith is still confused though because Traynor is a ghost. Bro is literally premium air, so he assumes the Demon King will have to fake the hits or just play pretend. Traynor responds with the spiritual equivalent of watch this, then launches himself at Aerith. In the next instant, Aerith feels like his neck has been cleanly severed and drops to his knees. Traynor asks if he really thought his throat got pierced, and the answer is basically yes. Aerith knows Traynor cannot physically touch him, but his body does not care. He still experiences the full terror of dying. No pain, just that horrible certainty that he got packed up. Traynor asks if that is all the hero's son can handle, and immediately starts poking at his ego. That works like a charm. Aerith jumps back in, throwing punches at the air like an angry NPC. Traynor calls him impatient, but Aerith is too heated to think straight. He tries to fake Traynor out with a kick, and the Demon King casually points 2 fingers at his eyes. That alone makes Aerith stop. Traynor asks if his body just froze because his instincts screamed that one more step meant death. That is exactly what happened. Aerith backs off and fires Kilo Thunder, then follows up with Kilo Earthquake once he thinks Traynor lost sight of him. Smart move in theory. In practice, once the debris settles, Traynor is already behind him like the world's rudest tutorial boss. He says that just when he thought Aerith was starting to think, he goes right back to throwing straightforward attacks. Then he starts explaining the matchup like this is some combat analysis channel, saying Aerith magic beats Thunder magic because it is simpler, easier to read, and stronger in raw force. He tells Aerith to treat this as a first-hand lesson in the sheer gap between himself and the great Demon King. In other words, our boy got folded and then forced to listen to the post-fight commentary too. Nasty work. Meanwhile, Princess Fiancé suddenly opens her eyes somewhere else and realizes she must have dozed off. Makes sense because she was just dreaming about the old days and those little heroes who took her into her childish fantasies. Then a knock at the door drags her back to reality, and a maid enters with a letter for her. Nice little cutaway while Aerith is getting spiritually punted through the dirt. Back to the main course. Aerith is now sprawled on the ground, breathing like life is a side quest he is failing. Traynor looks down at him with that smug Demon King face and says that it was already too much for him. Then, because he woke up and chose violence, he adds that this will be their daily routine from now on, along with the ladder training. Aerith can barely process that. He could not land a single hit. Traynor did not even use some crazy forbidden technique either, just regular physical moves. Yet in Aerith's head, he got beaten, gouged, and kicked to death over and over again. Before this, he was actually kind of proud of himself. Sure, he could not beat the princess, but he could beat most other people, so he thought that maybe second place was not the worst thing in the world. But now he realizes he is weak. Like actually weak. Traynor asks if he is finally despairing after seeing the limit of his abilities. Aerith says no, what he feels is worse. He just never understood how weak he really was until today. But that thought leads him straight to the obvious question. If Traynor is this overwhelming and Aerith is getting fake killed every 5 seconds, then how in the world did his father beat him in the past? Yes, Hero had the help of the other 6 heroes, but still, if Aerith fought Traynor for real, he would already be dead 10 times over. So how did his father manage to win against this guy? Traynor says that Aerith really knows nothing about his father, and Aerith cannot even deny it. His father is always busy, and every time they do speak, it just turns into some lecture about effort, the past, or how disappointing Aerith is. Traynor asks if he ever actually listens when his father starts doing his proud little hero speeches, and Aerith says nothing. That silence answers everything. Traynor sighs and admits that Hero really is a detestable man on the outside, but the road he walked to become the hero who defeated the Demon King was not easy at all. He says the story of how Hero became that hero is something Aerith should hear. That catches him off guard, because for most of his life his father's story has just felt like a giant shadow hanging over him. He hated all those old generation tales because they only ever fed his inferiority complex. But Traynor says whether the wisdom of older generations helps you depends entirely on whether you are willing to hear it. That actually lands. For once, Aerith finds himself wanting to know, what did those adults really go through? What happened back then that made them who they are now? So he asks Traynor to tell him about his own past too, if he ever feels like it. He wants to know how humanity actually beat the great Demon King. On the way to school the next morning, Aerith's legs feel like they belong to a retired grandfather. Traynor, being the supportive coach he is not, says spoiled rich kids are ridiculously weak if they cannot even make it to the Phantom Spells section on day 1. Aerith is already irritated because apparently there was even more training left. But before he can complain, someone calls his name. It is Princess Fiancé, standing at a stall like she just happened to be there by pure coincidence. Sure, absolutely, totally organic. She says it is strange meeting him here, and Aerith points out that it is strange because she usually arrives by carriage. He also notices she is alone and holding an empty cup. Fiancé panics and hurriedly explains that she heard the fruit juice here was good, and the cup is empty because she just finished it. Definitely not because she has been waiting here all morning like she is camping for concert tickets. Aerith lets it slide, and she quickly suggests they walk to school together since they happen to run into each other. Traynor immediately clocks the truth, and points out that she was clearly waiting here to ambush him. Demon King vision never misses. Bro, as they walk, Fiancé asks about his plans for the future. Aerith says he does not really have anything special decided. She says she has been thinking because the graduation matches are not just mock battles. Important people, nobles, and even citizens from neighboring countries will be watching. For her it means even more because as the princess she will soon be named the next queen. Then she asks if Aerith understands how she feels. Our dense hero hears this and somehow still does not realize anything. He just goes along, saying yes, of course he knows that one day she will have to rule the country. Since childhood the things they were aiming for have always been different. She was preparing to be queen. He meanwhile is out here powered by the dream of Sadith's chest. These are not the same stakes. Then Fiancé awkwardly asks if he was really staring at her in class. When Aerith admits it, she suddenly declares that she will win the graduation match and then publicly announce it before him and the people. Normally he would just tell her to do her best and keep it moving, but this time he answers differently. He tells her that he is the one who is going to win. Yesterday's training made him realize how much potential he still has buried under all that self-pity. He wants to show off his cool side to Sadith, to everyone, and honestly to himself. He wants to learn about his father's past too, and to do that he has to move forward, not keep hiding in second place. So he tells her plainly that there is something he absolutely cannot give up. And because this is anime and Fiancé is down catastrophic, she hears that and immediately asks if this is basically a confession. Aerith, caught off guard, asks if it would be wrong if it were. There is no chance he is letting her find out that the real fuel behind this sudden determination is a deal involving Sadith's breasts. Fiancé blushes hard and tells him that in that case, they should fight wholeheartedly in the match. Traynor, who understands perfectly well that they are talking about two completely different things, stays quiet because this misunderstanding is simply too funny to interrupt. Then they reach school, and the first thing they hear is a bunch of girls shrieking. Aerith, on the other hand, goes completely still. He had either forgotten or was trying very hard not to think about the other obstacles standing in his way. And judging by that reaction, it looks like his other two problem children have just returned. Back in the past, little Princess Fiancé is supposed to be studying, but focus is clearly not her strong stat. The moment she hears someone call her from outside, she does not walk, she does not think, she just runs to the window and jumps straight out like gravity is optional. Her tutor rushes in ready to crash out, only to see her land perfectly on a magic circle like this is just another Tuesday. And waiting for her outside are her childhood squad, Aerith, Fu, and Rival. Yeah, the naming department was not trying at all, but the tutor starts nagging instantly, saying the princess needs to study and if they keep playing like this she is reporting all of them to their fathers. Aerith immediately steps up like a budget hero and declares that Fiancé is a future hero companion, so this counts as studying. Bro is already rewriting the education system. He even says he will never hand her over to the great Demon King tutor, which just makes the tutor even more mad. She fires back saying he will never become a hero like his father if he keeps acting like this. But Aerith doubles down and starts hyping his whole squad. Farboy is the greatest mage, Rival is the greatest swordsman, and Fiancé is the greatest lancer, so naturally he will surpass his father and become the strongest hero in the world. The confidence is insane. The delusion is even stronger. Then Sadith casually joins in and tells the future hero to defeat the devil Sadith too. Yeah, this whole thing was just childhood roleplay, but back then Aerith genuinely believed he was built like that. No doubts, no hesitation. Just pure main character energy before reality humbled him. Back in the present, Traynor hears all this and gets curious about the new names. Aerith explains that they are all children of the 7 heroes, just like him and Fiancé. Basically, this is a legacy squad. The big guy is Rival Jane, son of the master swordsman, and his sword skills are already better than the princess. No debate, he is the strongest in the academy. Then there is Fu Madai, son of the great mage, and he is easily the best magician around. Fiancé mentions they sent a letter saying they were coming back from studying abroad, but she did not expect them this soon. Traynor asks what studying abroad even means, and Aerith explains that top-ranked students get the chance to go train overseas. Since the princess declined, 2nd and 3rd place went instead. That is when Traynor hits him with a clean jab, pointing out that Aerith was not even in 2nd or 3rd place, so all that "I am stuck in 2nd place" talk was basically rounded up. Bro got fact-checked mid-conversation. Fu notices them and calls them over, so they walk up. Everyone immediately bows to the princess, but she tells them to relax since they are childhood friends. Fu greets Aerith like nothing has changed, but Rival wastes no time and asks if he at least got a little stronger. That question already has disrespect built into it. Aerith looks away and gives a dry answer, but Fiancé jumps in and says he has been attending lessons and mock battles consistently. That does not help his case at all, and he is low-key annoyed she answered for him, but she already changes the topic by asking about their study abroad. Fian casually drops that while they were away. A group of fire dragons showed up, so he and Rival fought them as part of a suppression unit. Just a casual dragon side quest. They handled it and even got medals for it. Traynor comments that even among the children of the 7 heroes, the difference is obvious, and Aerith does not like the fact that he said that while looking directly at him. The crowd suddenly starts asking Fu to show off what he learned, and after a little pushing, he agrees. He tells them not to expect much, then casually draws a massive magic circle and releases a small fire attack that looks like it belongs in a final boss fight. The crowd goes completely silent. Even Aerith is shocked, thinking this looks like mega-tier magic. Fu, seeing no reaction, actually thinks it was underwhelming and asks if it was disappointing. The crowd immediately loses it and starts shouting that it was insane. Bro really said light work after dropping a nuke. Aerith admits the magic was impressive, but Furo's calm attitude and lack of awareness just irritates him. Then Rival steps in, saying that level of magic is nothing special, and suddenly appears right in front of Aerith to remind him that they have been training abroad for a whole year and came back with overwhelming power. He straight up tells him that at this point Aerith has no chance of beating them. Aerith laughs it off and calls him cocky for talking big without showing anything. Rival responds immediately by demonstrating his skill and asking if that satisfies him. Then he says it is a waste to show off for academy-level people and announces that they came back to compete in the royal tournament and win. He goes full speech mode, saying they are the children of the 7 heroes, the ones who will inherit and surpass their fathers, and he plans to dedicate his victory to someone special. Yeah, bro is already setting up his main character arc. Aerith is standing there realizing he is surrounded by absolute monsters and has zero chance against them, but before he can spiral too hard, Fiancé steps forward and refuses to let that statement slide. She admits they have grown stronger, but that does not mean she has been sitting still either. She is not giving up on winning. Rival acknowledges her strength, but says he will not lose this time. Then this man suddenly drops to one knee and proposes a condition. If he wins, he wants to become a candidate for her hand in marriage. Yeah, bro turned the tournament into a marriage application real quick. Aerith is stunned, but the crowd eats it up like this is premium drama. Fiancé says she only sees him as a friend, but Rival says he already knows where her heart lies and what she feels. He has been watching her this whole time. Then he throws a sharp glare straight at Aerith, who is still completely clueless. Rival just wants a chance to be seen as a man. Meanwhile, Aerith is thinking logically for once, and realizes that if the princess and the son of the master swordsman get together, the world would probably call that a perfect match. So in his head, he is already wishing them the best, like a supportive side character. This man is not reading the room at all. Traynor, on the other hand, is disgusted. He calls Rival pathetic and says he has no chance of winning. Aerith is confused because he just saw the magic, the sword skills, and everything else. From his perspective, there is no way he can beat these guys, but Traynor completely dismisses it, saying beating a fire dragon using mega-tier magic and training abroad for a year is basically child's play. He casually mentions that he himself defeated the Dragon King of the Underworld, and that would require Exa-class magic. Aerith has never even heard of that level before. Traynor then drops the real statement. 2 months with him is worth more than 100 years of normal training, so Aerith should trust him, because he is the disciple of the great Demon King now. That line flips a switch. Aerith steps forward and tells Rival to calm down because he is the one who is going to win the tournament. Yeah, he just threw himself into the lion's den. He knows it is a huge risk, but Traynor already told him that declaring his goal removes all escape routes. No backing out, no excuses. So he does exactly that. He announces it in front of everyone. Rival asks if he has a reason to, and Aerith says there is something he absolutely cannot give up on. The crowd instantly gets hyped because now there is actual competition. Meanwhile, Aerith is confused because he was expecting to get booed, not cheered. Bro really cannot read the atmosphere to save his life. Fiancé is sitting there blushing like crazy because Aerith just stopped Rival, and she is overthinking everything this man just said. Fiancé is stuck in the middle because both of them are his friends, so he does not even know who to support. And Aerith, yeah, he is never getting used to this kind of attention. During class, Traynor suddenly starts hating on the entire education system, saying this is supposed to be training for the Empire's elite, yet the level is straight up embarrassing. Aerith thinks he is just talking trash again, but no, the Demon King is dead serious. He is genuinely confused why people are writing long expressions on paper and solving them step by step like it is some ancient ritual. In his mind, if you understand the system properly, all you need to do is plug in the numbers and let the process run automatically. Simple, efficient, not whatever this struggle session is. Adral Ephra, of course, does not understand a single word of that, so Traynor decides explaining it is a waste of time and goes straight to demonstration mode, because apparently this is now a live tutorial. He tells Aerith they are going to learn a new type of magic. First step, draw a magic sigil. Aerith follows along and sketches it on paper like a good student. Next step, cast the spell exactly the way Traynor instructs him. And just like that, it is done. No grind, no practice arc, no suffering. Mastery achieved instantly like he just downloaded a skill pack. Aerith looks down and notices his hand moving on its own, and before he can even process what is happening, the answer is already written. Bro did not solve anything. His hand just said, "I got this," and handled it. Aerith is completely lost, asking what kind of nonsense this is. And Traynor calmly explains that for any formula the user references, the incantation removes the need to manually calculate anything. It just processes everything automatically. He calls it Excel, because of course he does. The Demon King really said, why study when you can install Excel into your brain? And apparently that is just one of his inventions. He casually mentions stuff like auto-target warping points and other broken abilities, then decides not to elaborate further for everyone's mental safety. Aerith is sitting there amazed, realizing that if he uses this in the graduation test, he is basically guaranteed to cook everyone. No effort, just vibes and instant answers. Right on cue, the teacher calls him up to solve a problem on the board. Aerith walks up, activates the magic, and suddenly everything makes sense. Numbers, formulas, logic, all of it just starts flowing into his head like he unlocked premium brain access. It is not even thinking anymore, it is just happening. So he grabs the chalk and starts writing like he is in a final episode montage. Clean, confident, no hesitation. The entire class goes silent. Even the air is impressed. Aerith finishes, turns around and walks back to his seat like he just secured main character status. At this point he feels unstoppable. There is nothing he does not understand. He is him. Then the teacher hits him with the most evil question imaginable. Show the intermediate steps. Yeah, that is when everything collapses. The teacher immediately snaps and starts questioning him, asking if he cheated. Meanwhile, Traynor is just chilling in the background, realizing that maybe introducing Demon King level cheating software into a normal classroom was not the smartest idea. Even he admits this one is on him. Aerith has one very normal question for once, and asks Traynor where the hell they are. The Demon King answers like it is obvious, saying they are inside Aerith's head. No big deal, just casual mental trespassing. He then explains that this is a virtual reality illusion spell he created. Basically, it forces someone to sleep and then lets the caster build whatever dream they want with crazy realism. Dreams of conquest, dreams of beautiful women, dreams of whatever nonsense your heart desires. In other words, while the Academy is wasting everyone's time with those dry, useless lectures, Traynor plans to drag Aerith into Dream Boot Camp for more image training. Efficient king of evil behavior. Aerith looks around at the blank white space and asks if this means the place is his dream, and Traynor is just part of it. Traynor immediately shuts that down and says no, he is very real. The reason they can talk in here is because their spirits are linked, so whenever he casts this VR magic, he gets pulled into the same dream as Aerith. That also means he can spawn whatever he wants inside it. Aerith hears all that, and his first reaction is disappointment, because apparently if he was stuck dreaming anyway, he would have rather spent that time flirting with Sadith. Bro was one sentence away from saying he wanted the premium version of that dream too. Traynor tells him to get a grip because this spell only works based on the caster's imagination and knowledge. And unlike Aerith, he is not out here crafting horny side quests in his head. Then he warns him this magic is dangerous because it feels exactly like reality and can get addictive fast. He even mentions a story where someone got so hooked on dream life that he never came back properly, became completely useless, and helped drag his whole country into chaos and ruin. So yeah, pretty strong anti-doom scrolling message from the Demon King. Trainer also points out that in the real world he cannot do much with his spiritual body, but in here he can actually show some of his power. He demonstrates it, and Irith is instantly shocked. Trainer explains that it is not technically magic, just his magical power radiating outward as energy and being moved around. To Irith that sounds illegal. He has never even heard of magical power being manipulated so directly, but Trainer says this is only a tiny fraction of what he can do. When pushed to the limit, it becomes one of his special moves, the Great Devil Spiral. Devil Spiral Break. Yeah, the move name is somehow both overcooked and undercooked at the same time. Irith immediately thinks that having Spiral in there twice is doing way too much, but of course he forgets Trainer can hear his thoughts. 1 second later, there is already a spiral in Trainer's hands, and Irith is apologizing like his life depends on it. Unfortunately, the apology package comes with a free sample. Irith gets hit by the spiral and instantly thinks he is dead. Trainer calmly agrees and says that attack can turn things into minced meat. Good to know. Wonderful learning environment. After nearly turning his student into Demon King Kebab, Trainer spawns a chair, a table, and a board, then tells Irith to stop lying around and sit up. Once Irith does, Trainer starts the actual lesson. He explains that beings like humans and demons have reservoirs of magic inside their bodies. Magic is released from there and activated. Inside those reservoirs are what he calls magic holes, and the number of open holes affects a person's magical output. He compares it to poking holes in a water bag. The more holes you have, the more water pours out. Same deal with magic. If you have only a few magic holes, even higher tier techniques can only come out in weak amounts, but if you have more, you can pour out more magical power faster. That is why children born into great mage families are more likely to become great mages. They simply tend to have more usable output. Irith thinks it over and realizes that explains a lot. Foe and fiancé probably just have way more magical holes than he does. In his mind, that has always sounded like they were born talented and I got scammed. Then Trainer drops the part that changes everything. He says Irith can simply increase the number of holes he can use. The number is not fixed by who you are. A lot of them are just closed. His hidden potential can be unlocked by opening those dormant magical holes. Irith stands up in shock like he just heard the greatest words of his life. There is a way? Trainer smugly says he has strengthened plenty of soldiers using this exact method. Irith immediately asks how it works, and Trainer answers with one word that absolutely kills the mood. Acupuncture. Yeah. Our boy went from I can unlock my talent to wait, you want me to stab myself in under 3 seconds. The next time we see him, Irith is staring at a full set of needles and looking like his soul already left the building. He asks if he really has to stick those into himself, and Trainer gives him the most obvious answer possible. Yes. Irith then asks the even more important question of whether it is safe for him to do this on his own. Trainer assures him there is no problem because he spent his day off practicing, and with his 6th vision he can sense where the dormant magical holes are. He will guide him exactly, so nothing should go wrong, should being the least comforting word in existence. Irith nervously asks if it will hurt, and Trainer says it might sting a little, then casually suggests trying the spot between the nail and the flesh. At that point, Irith is ready to retire from magic entirely. Trainer tells him to relax because they are only opening one magical hole today. Irith tries to psych himself up by remembering that he wants to beat monsters who can throw absurd levels of magic around, so he should be able to handle a little pain. The deed that confidence lasts about 3 seconds. With Trainer guiding the position, Irith pushes the needle into his wrist. The moment it hits the right spot, it feels less like one tiny needle and more like 1,000 of them stabbing through his entire arm while a heated knife is dragged through his body for fun. Trainer, the least sympathetic coach in human or demon history, says this amount is not even that painful, and reminds him that gaining magical power was never going to be easy. Naturally, Irith screams loud enough to summon concern from the whole household, and Sadith rushes in only to find him collapsed on the floor. When Irith wakes up, he sees Trainer nearby and asks what happened, as if his body did not just get introduced to medieval suffering. Trainer explains that he passed out from the pain while opening the magical hole, and that is when Sadith found him. Irith then notices Sadith asleep beside his bed and feels genuinely moved that she stayed there taking care of him the whole time. The guilt hits him for worrying her again, and then immediately gets bodied by his own eyes drifting a little too far down. Our boy instantly turns away because yes, he knows he should not be staring at a woman who just nursed him back to consciousness, but he is still very much a guy, and curiosity is out here throwing haymakers. Before he can sneak a second look, Sadith opens her eyes and tells him he looks desperate. Bro got caught in 4K. He is shocked that she was awake the whole time, and she immediately calls him pathetic for peeking up the skirt of a woman who worked so hard to care for him. Then, just to ruin him further, she leans in all suggestively, only for his mother to kick the door open and rush inside like the FBI. She starts using restoration magic on her precious baby boy. then stops mid-panic when she notices Irith and Sadith in a suspiciously close position. Sadith, because she thrives on chaos, keeps teasing him and calling him shameful. From there, the whole family dogpile begins. Irith's father grabs him for doing something to Sadith while they were away, and his mother is over here shaking a smiling Sadith and insisting she can find someone far better for her. Sadith admits she was only teasing him, but the damage is already done. Trainar, meanwhile, is having the time of his life watching this lineup. He identifies them as Hero Reagan, one of the 7 heroes, and Mamu Reagan, the war maiden among the 7 heroes. He even comments that Mamu has not changed at all, which makes Irith think she still looks 30. The moment that thought crosses his mind, his mother slaps him in the face. When he asks why, she says he was definitely thinking something rude. She really has mother radar on max settings. The nice Irith asks why his parents are even home when they should be at work, and they explain they came rushing back when they heard he collapsed and would not wake up. He says he is getting hungry after all that drama, so Sadith suggests making dinner and eating together. Mamu loves the idea and says she will help too, and Sadith is fine with that because it has been a while since they cooked together. So now the women head off to the kitchen, and that leaves Irith alone with Hero, which is somehow worse than the needles. No buy. The awkwardness is so heavy it deserves its own chair at the table. Irith cannot imagine having a normal conversation with his father after everything between them, but Trainar reminds him this is his chance to ask what he wanted to ask earlier. Irith remembers and gathers the courage to ask why Hero became an Imperial Knight in the first place. Hero is surprised by the sudden question, but Irith plays it off well enough by saying he is starting to think seriously about his future. Internally, he is proud of how smooth that sounded, and apparently it worked because Hero actually answers. He says he wanted to protect his friends and family, because when he was younger, monsters nearly destroyed his mother and hometown. The fields, livestock, neighbors, everything got devastated, and he would have died too if not for one person. That person showed up, wiped out a whole swarm of monsters effortlessly, then walked away without saying a word, looking cool as hell the entire time. Kuro says he wanted to become an ally of justice like that. Right now, he can laugh and call it a childish dream, but it was enough to set him on his path. Kuro, hearing that, Irith finally gets a real piece of his father's origin. Maybe it started as a simple childish dream, but Hero followed through and protected the peace they all live in. Now, Irith realizes that even a small reason can matter if you chase it properly. And since he now has his own small reason, he decides to share it. He tells his family that he is going to try to win the graduation match. Everyone is shocked that he actually said win, and for one tiny second, Irith thinks maybe they are finally taking him seriously. Then Hero opens his mouth and says he is happy just to see Irith showing some fighting spirit, so he should not have any regrets when he loses. His parents keep telling him not to be discouraged if he fails, and all Irith can hear is that they already expect him to lose. Again, he has been trying his hardest all this time, and still all they can picture is failure. Sadith is the only one who notices him go quiet, but Irith just says he is not feeling well and leaves. Trainar watches him and asks if it is really okay to walk away when family meals like that do not happen often. That question only makes Irith explode harder. He shouts for Trainar to make him stronger. He says he is willing to do the acupuncture and anything else because he wants to prove he can actually win, not just say it like some nice little effort speech. He wants to do it for real. Trainar agrees but says there will be no training today or tomorrow because excessive training is counterproductive, and the burden of opening a magical hole is already heavy enough. Also, and this is apparently just as important, tomorrow is the day a certain item arrives at that place, namely Trainar's favorite book. So the Great Demon King has already declared tomorrow a rest day dedicated entirely to reading, and honestly nobody in that house has the authority to argue with him about it. Boring. That day is easily the worst day of Sadith's life. No contest. But even with all that pain, she still gets to hold the baby, and that tiny moment alone makes her grateful that she got to meet him at all. Meanwhile, at the market, the Great Demon King is out here acting like a kid who found the last rare game cartridge on Earth because he finally gets his hands on the sequel to Destiny's Stay Night. This is the novel Trainar was yapping about yesterday, and Irith somehow ends up buying not just that volume but a whole stack of sequels that came out after the Demon King died. Bro really had to rent a cart just to transport one dead man's reading addiction. Trainar gets so excited he cannot even wait to get home. He spots a park nearby, marches over to a bench and prepares to lock in immediately. Now that he has the full series, he plans to read straight through like a machine. Irith, still trying to understand how this man works, asks how Trainar can hate humans while being so obsessed with their culture. The Demon King shuts that down instantly, saying culture has nothing to do with race. In his mind, it is simply a matter of development, and accepting influential technology is the key to growth. Somehow that actually makes enough sense that Irith lets it slide. Big mistake. Because the second he does, Trainar hands him the role of official page-turning servant and tells him to turn the pages and also give his thoughts afterward. So now Irith has to read too. He starts reading like a normal human being, but Trainar immediately complains and asks how long it is taking him to finish a page. Irith is baffled because it has been maybe 30 seconds. 30. The Demon King then casually says he has already read that same page 5 times. At that point, Irith realizes he is dealing with an absolute freak, so he suggests just turning pages at Trainar's pace and skipping reading it himself. Nope, denied. Trainar insists that Irith must read too because he has the very important duty of discussing the story afterward. Our boy thinks this is a complete pain, so the Demon King sighs and says that since it has come to this, he will teach him speed reading. Irith already knows this is going to be nonsense, but Trainar says the real issue is not reading speed, it is visual acuity. Irith hears that and immediately thinks of gloomy rival, because that is where his brain goes now. But Trainar corrects him and says he means dynamic visual acuity and peripheral vision. Dynamic visual acuity is the ability to track moving objects with your eyes, and the quality of that depends on the strength of the muscles controlling eye movement. Irith wonders why he should care about something that sounds this niche, but Trainar explains that this is not niche at all. If you can track movement better, you can avoid far more attacks. Suddenly the whole thing becomes combat training in disguise, because of course it does. To explain peripheral vision, Trainar tells him to look at some idiotic couple nearby. Irith says he would rather erase them from existence with his glare, which honestly is fair, but apparently Trainar has not invented that technique yet, so instead he asks Irith to look back and answer a few questions. What color is the bench? How many people were standing in front of the couple? How many plants were beyond them? Irith has no clue. None. He was locked in on the couple and noticed absolutely nothing else. Trainar expected exactly that. He explains that peripheral vision is the ability to take in everything in front of you. When you focus too hard on one point, your field narrows and everything else gets ignored. And in battle, that is how you get folded. You are not only watching fists or sword tips. If you can see your opponent as part of a whole, you can read their setup, catch their preliminary movements and act first. According to Trainar, this kind of sight can be trained and refined into a special skill called Kan and Nikon, because apparently even when he makes sense, his names still sound ridiculous. Lol, still, Irith has to admit the results are there. Even if Trainar's methods look goofy at first glance, they work. Combined with ladder training, his reflexes and agility are already improving. He can feel himself holding his ground better. So he apologizes for making fun of the old demon fossil, and asks for proper guidance. Trainar, delighted to be right again, says the goal for today is to finish the book by the end of the day, and just like that the bickering resumes. At the same time, Sadith's memories drag her back into the past. She remembers hiding while her mother looked for her, then peeking out from an alley only for her mother to immediately chase after her. She does not remember every detail, but she remembers enough. She lived in a peaceful city with her mother and father. She remembers being happy when she was little, and even now after all these years, she still cannot understand what that city had in it that made such destruction necessary. Then the real nightmare returns. In the underground facility at Shoshanatami, the Demon King looks through documents and says this city houses ancient magic, forbidden arts, powerful enough to destroy continents. A barely alive man calls it humanity's last hope against the Demon King, but then a black-cloaked man exposes the truth. They were never planning to use it for defense. They wanted to weaponize it, sell it to the Empire, and turn it on an army. He even mentions records of secret meetings. Trainar says he has no use for that forbidden art. Normally he might have taken something like that as military spoils, but this one is simply too dangerous. So he apologizes, then decides to erase both the art and the man tied to it. And just like that, little Sadith watches the Demon King's devil spiral wipe out her precious city and her old life in one move. Trainar, she snaps back into the present while doing chores. Even now, a single absent-minded moment is enough to bring all of that back. The memories hit so hard she can barely walk, and she hurries to her room, a room absolutely packed with pictures of Irith. Yeah, that cute younger version of him is enough to soothe a heart that got sandblasted by tragedy. Because the truth is, Sadith is not just some maid of the Ragan family. Her hometown was destroyed by the Demon King's forces, and Mamu saved her right before she was going to be killed too. She was originally going to be sent to an institution, but Mamu raised her like a sister instead. Mamu became a sister she loved deeply. She felt a little sad when Mamu married Hiro, but he also accepted her as an adopted child. Then later, when Irith was born, they let her hold him too. He became a cute little brother not related by blood, and after losing everything she was pulled into a new life she wanted to keep forever. Her room is filled with memories from that life. Things like the ribbon from the bouquet she got at graduation. She remembers Irith's upset expression when he thought she might leave, and to her that look was precious. She likes teasing him, even though she knows it is probably wrong. She just wants to see that cute side of him again. To her, Irith is still her young sir, but then a childhood memory pulls her back to reality. She knows none of this is good. Irith's path is tied to Princess Fiancé, and everyone around them already understands it. If things go according to the rules of society, the children of the 7 heroes will end up marrying each other. That is exactly what happened when Mamu married. So Sadith knows the role she is supposed to play. She is supposed to watch it happen, smile politely, and accept it like everyone else. It is just that Irith pushes against those norms and a selfish part of her wants him to look at her that way again. Still, she knows she can never tell him any of this. Later, while she is watering the plants, Irith comes through the gate. She welcomes him home and comments on the mountain of stuff he bought. She also notices his twitching eyes and asks if something happened during shopping. Right at that moment, a gust of wind sends her skirt upward. She instantly worries about how scandalous that would look from Irith's angle, but before disaster can fully strike, he leaps forward and catches the cloth that flew off. Then he simply hands it back and says he is going to read until dinner, so she should let him know when the food is ready. Then he leaves. Sadith is genuinely surprised, because from her point of view, if he is a boy, he should have looked like one. But instead of staring, he took off after the flying cloth like some knight in a corny romance story. She realizes something changed in him without her noticing. But on the other side, the newly gentleman-coded Irith is thinking that being able to see everything in front of him is actually a very useful ability. Trainor immediately reminds him that this power was not developed so he could look up a girl's skirt. But even while saying that, the Demon King is intrigued. Irith picked this ability up far more easily than expected. Maybe he is not the dropout everyone makes him out to be. That possibility is interesting. And if that is true, then Irith might be able to learn the great demonic evolution breakthrough much faster than planned. Which means for the first time, the Demon King can actually see it. A real shot at winning the championship in 49 days. Irith stands outside his house, staring at his hand like he just unlocked a new DLC ability, feeling the magical power flowing through it. Trainor casually confirms that he can now control his magic properly, stable and clean, no more crashing like a buggy system. Irith admits it was worth all the times he was throwing up from opening those magical holes, which honestly sounds like the worst training arc imaginable. But hey, results are results. He does mention it still takes him a bit to materialize magic, so he is not fully cracked yet. Trainor asks how it feels when he uses a technique, and Irith says it feels amazing. Everything he sees and hears just clicks, like his senses got upgraded to Ultra HD. At this point, he is ready for the final training session. Phantom sparring is basically fighting a ghost. You swing, you hit, but it feels like nothing is there, like shadowboxing but with actual consequences. The scary part is Trainor. With his insane visual acuity magic and Irith's improved eyesight, he can predict exactly where attacks will land. 2 months ago, Irith would have been folded instantly, no questions asked. Now though, he is not even afraid of seeing himself die mid-fight. That's growth. Slightly concerning growth, but still growth. During the spar, Irith actually spots an opening in Trainor's defense. Big moment. He goes in to capitalize, but before he can even blink, Trainor punches him. Clean, direct, reality check. Once again, he gets hit with that lovely vision of his own death and completely fumbles the attack. He drops to the ground, saying it is hopeless, but Trainor is low-key impressed. The fact that he even managed to catch him off guard is already a big deal. Still, not enough to even scratch the great Demon King. Irith, being stubborn as ever, asks for another round, and Trainor praises his energy. Bro really said run it back after getting humbled. Later, Irith is lying on his bed and decides to ask the question that has been sitting in his head this whole time. Why did Trainor want to destroy humanity? Trainor pauses, saying it is not something humans would really understand, but then starts talking anyway. He says it was 1,000 years ago, so long that even he barely remembers the reason. Back then, he lived deep underground, in a place where sunlight never reached. Just stale air, violence and chaos. That was his world. From that place, he dreamed of leaving. He wanted to see oceans, forests, sunlight, different cultures, new technology. Basically, he wanted to explore the world like a normal person, just without the normal person part. Others joined him, but things did not go smoothly. The divide between races twisted everything, and over hundreds, even thousands of years, his purpose changed. By the time he realized it, he was no longer the same person. He had become the Demon King people feared. The Irith listens carefully, taking it all in, but Trainor brushes it off as just a story from the past. He even wonders what the demon realm looks like now, after everything that happened. Irith then asks if humans also did cruel things to demons, and Trainor answers without hesitation. Of course they did. That is what happens in war. Raids, retaliation, cruelty on both sides. Humans did terrible things, and so did he. Hearing that, Irith realizes something. The Demon King was not just the villain people talk about. He went through the same cycle of violence too. And then Irith says something unexpected. He says he wants to go to the demon realm. Trainor is caught off guard, but Irith explains it simply. Trainor has been training him this whole time, so he wants to return the favor. Plus, he wants to see the world too. Trainor asks if he is serious, and Irith says that living as an imperial knight like his father sounds too stable. Trainor points out that if he becomes one, he will not have time for adventures like that. Irith doesn't care. He says he does not need to follow the same path as his father. What Trainor described about traveling the world sounds way more fun. He wants to see everything, experience everything, and become strong enough to go anywhere, not just stay stuck in one place his whole life. Then the big day arrives, graduation match day. Trainor looks at the massive crowd and is genuinely confused why so many people showed up just to watch kids fight. Irith explains it is because the children of the 7 heroes are participating this year. Every year, important figures come to watch, and people gather just to see them. Trainor immediately realizes this is the perfect setup. Chaos is about to be premium quality. The event begins with a commentator hyping it up, announcing the Imperial Knights Academy graduation tournament. The graduates stand in the center while the crowd cheers like it is a full-on arena match. The king is watching. Irith's parents are watching. Sadith is there too, quietly rooting for him, probably the only one doing so without judgment. The format is simple. Tournament style, matchups decided by lottery. First up is rival Janian, who walks forward to a wave of screaming fans like he is already the champion. People are already calling him the winner before the match even starts. Man hasn't even fought yet and already has a fan club. He draws his ball and announces he will go first, which somehow causes even more chaos. Then comes Earth Reagan. Instead of cheers, he gets whispers, people calling him a failure, a second-generation disappointment. Some say he might be a dark horse, but most are just waiting to see him crash out. Trainor watching all this can already tell Irith is planning something, and honestly, he is entertained. Irith steps up, takes the lottery box, and then throws it into the air. Yeah, he just does that. Everyone freezes. While the balls are mid-air, he uses his visual acuity and Canon Nikon to instantly grab the one he wants. The same round as rival, the entire arena goes silent for a second, then erupts. People are yelling that he has no idea what he is doing, that he is disrespecting the event. Even his own father calls him an idiot. The crowd thinks he is trying to ruin the tournament. Rival steps in, clearly pissed, but Irith calmly says he will understand why he did this. That just makes it worse. Rival immediately realizes what happened. Irith saw the number instantly and chose him on purpose, so he accepts it, loud and clear, declaring this as a challenge. Now the crowd is losing their minds again, because this just turned into a direct clash between the children of the 7 heroes. The commentator tries to calm things down, but before that goes anywhere, the Emperor stands up. Instantly silence. Frianzi is surprised, but Trainor recognizes him immediately. Solja, one of the 7 heroes, the magic spear knight. Old legends don't fade, they just sit on thrones now. The Emperor announces that what Irith did technically breaks the rules, then turns to Rival and asks if he will accept the challenge. Rival bows and declares he will win no matter what. No need for lottery order anymore. Irith's parents try to stop this, calling him an idiot again, but the Emperor just smiles. He says it would be rude to reject a child's fighting spirit. Hruff. And just like that, he allows it. Hruff. He declares that this is no longer just a match between students. This is a formal duel between warriors. First round, rival Janian versus Irith Reagan. And now, it's official. Irith hates it the most when people say that all his achievements are thanks to his father. All because he is the son of the hurrah. All his efforts get dismissed. The people around him are not looking at him but at the ideal hero. He has held to such high expectations without any say-so he could never afford to disappoint. So he wants to prove himself in this match. His so-called parents now worry what is wrong with him, but the referee is already announcing the match between Rival, the top student of Imperial Knight Division, and Irith, the dark horse of this tournament. Even Fiancé and Sadith look worried, but the Demon King casually asks if he will be using the usual technique. Irith wants to test his power first, the techniques that he has been honing in his trainings. When he says that he wants to test his pure martial arts first, the Demon King just smirks and lets him do what he wants. Irith looks at Sadith, determined to win this battle to gain what he wants. However, Sadith suddenly shouts and reminds him that he is not carrying his sword. Irith is nonchalant about it, but Fiancé panics while the audience gossip about such a big mishap. Even his father panics and tells him to get his sword. However, Irith outright refuses, claiming that his fist is enough. The referee is confused, but he got no other option but to start the match. Rival thinks Irith does not consider him worthy of bringing a sword and decides to beat some sense into him. The girls in the crowd are already losing their minds, screaming for Rival like he's a celebrity, while Fiancé is over there nervously yelling for Irith like she's watching her last brain cell walk into danger. Then everyone realizes, wait, he's not hurt. Rival, long hair flowing like he's in a shampoo commercial, turns around with a nasty sneer and immediately charges again, activating the royal swordsmanship technique, Art of the Graceful Tempest. Yeah, the name is long, the aura is loud, and the speed is insane. Even the knights watching from a distance are impressed, nodding like yeah, that's elite. Then they blink, because the blade never touches Irith. Not once. Our boy is just standing there with the most disrespectful bored expression, casually dodging every single strike like he already watched the fight in advance. His vision is locked in, his predictions are clean, and he's reacting instantly like this is light work. This right here is the result of all that disgusting training he went through. The ladder drills, the phantom sparring, the mental torture, it's all paying off. Then Irith pulls his fist back, and you already know what's coming. Spiral punch, straight from Coach Trainor himself. Boom, clean hit, Rival actually gets rocked and now the crowd is screaming again, but this time in pure confusion. Nobody understands what just happened. Meanwhile, Irith is standing there hoping, just hoping that people finally recognize his skill instead of bringing up his father every 5 seconds. Yeah, that's not happening. The crowd instantly starts coping. Some say it's talent, others say it must be secret training with his father. Nobody is giving him credit for his own work. And just like that, his anger starts rising again, because once again, everything he did gets reduced to hero's son privilege. Trainer immediately steps in mentally, telling him to relax because the fight isn't over yet, and he still has a chance to prove it properly. Rival recovers, glaring at Irith like he just got personally disrespected in front of the entire kingdom. He demands to know where that power came from, clearly not accepting what just happened. In his head, there has to be a reason. Training parents, something, because there's no way Irith just got stronger. Irith hears that and immediately scoffs. Parents? Yeah, no. He shuts that down and says it's just footwork, sparring, and a little bit of reading. That answer alone feels illegal. Rival obviously doesn't believe it, so Irith keeps going, explaining everything that led him here. How he used to feel frustrated when he first entered the academy, surrounded by monsters like Rival, Fiancé, how he knew he didn't have their talent, how he kept losing, until someone came into his life and told him straight up, "You don't have your father's talent, but you have your own strength." That's what changed everything. Irith admits he's still training, still improving, but now he's finally walking his own path instead of chasing someone else's shadow. Rival just stares at him, completely thrown off. Then he notices that smirk on Irith's face, and suddenly he gets irritated again, because in his mind they are supposed to be the inheritors of the 7 heroes. They should act like them, think like them, live like them, and he always thought Irith believed that too, since they were kids. Clearly not anymore. Irith stands his ground, and that alone pushes Rival to the edge. He draws his sword again, this time with zero hesitation. No holding back, no testing. This is everything. Even before Irith can even react, Rival explodes forward, and now it's different. The attacks come from all directions. Relentless, fast, precise. It's like getting jumped by 10 swords at once. Trainer watches carefully and realizes what's happening. This is one of those moments where someone reaches their peak mid-fight. Rival is tapping into something deeper, pulling out true superhuman strength. Right now, Irith can't win with just his current abilities. But here's the thing, he doesn't only have his abilities anymore. Suddenly a beam of light engulfs him. He unlocks a new power, the one Trainer drilled into him. The Great Demon Super Evolution Breakthrough. Now this is where things flip. Trainer asks him what he's been called up until now. Irith answers, the son of Hero. Then he looks forward. But now, I'm the disciple of the Great Demon King Trainer. And just like that, he claims his own identity. Trainer straight up cheers for him, calling his name like a proud coach watching his student finally lock in. Irith rushes forward, and now it's his turn. Punch after punch, hit after hit, he starts overwhelming Rival completely. This isn't just about winning anymore. This is about paying back everything Trainer did for him. Because yeah, buying the guidebooks isn't enough. This is how he shows gratitude, by getting stronger, by proving it. Then comes the final strike. Boom. Rival gets launched straight into the wall, blood flying, body dropping, looking completely out of it. The entire arena goes silent. No cheers, no noise, just shock. The announcer is already preparing to call it. First match, done, winner decided. And then Rival's hand clenches. He mutters something under his breath. The Imperial Sword Art. Yeah, he's not done yet. The whole arena explodes in shock, with the crowd damn near losing their minds as Irith struggles to catch his breath and looks around at all the bright faces staring back at him. Everything is set up for his big moment, but Rival suddenly says absolutely not today and unleashes another sword technique, blitzing forward so fast it looks like the dude hit fast forward on reality itself. Fiancé Fu and Sadith all watch in panic as the long-haired menace closes in on Irith's face, and right then, with no time left to think, he remembers something from training. He once asked Trainer if he could learn the same demon spiral move the Demon King used when they first met, and Trainer had warned him that the technique burns through a ridiculous amount of magic and is a nightmare to control, meaning it would take a long time to master. But our boy is not trying to hear all that in the middle of a life-or-death anime crash-out, so he pours all his power into one hand, aims at the sky, and unleashes the Great Demon Irith Spiral, leaving both the announcer and Trainer stunned on the spot, while Sadith goes completely pale like she just saw a ghost clock in for overtime. Irith's eyes burn with determination because he thinks this is finally his win condition, only for the universe to slap him with the nastiest plot twist imaginable when somebody else suddenly punches him in the face, and it is not Rival. He goes spinning through the air, crashes to the ground, and looks up to see both of his parents standing there with expressions so cold they might as well have frozen the whole arena. The audience is confused out of its mind, because nobody understands why 2 of the 7 heroes just jumped into the battlefield like they own the match. Irith rises in disbelief, and then his father declares that he has to forfeit, which immediately sends him from confused to furious in half a second. He charges forward, demanding to know what kind of nonsense this is, but then a scream cuts through the stadium. Sadith is in the crowd gasping for air with tears streaming down her face as an old nightmare comes rushing back. she cries out in fear, unable to understand why Irith is using the Demon King's power, and the crowd instantly starts muttering like the gossip demons finally got fed. Trainor quickly realizes she might be one of the survivors of the Shisami disaster, while Mamu tries comforting her, but at this point that is like throwing a water bottle at a forest fire. Irith just stands there frozen, sweat running down his face, watching everything fall apart in real time. But then Hiro explains that the attack Irith used is the same power the Demon King unleashed to destroy Sadith's homeland, and his father pulls him aside demanding an explanation. But Irith's body starts trembling as he tries to say the only thing in his heart, that he just wanted to show his father how strong he had become after all that training and suffering. Instead of hearing him out, Hiro slaps him across the face and glares at him with pure disappointment, asking if he really stooped to dirty tricks just to win. That is when the crowd fully switches up, staring at Irith with disgust and throwing all kinds of trash at him, saying he cheated, has no honor, and should be expelled. Our boy is standing there getting cooked by the whole stadium while his mind is spiraling, because in his head all he can think is that every single one of them is wrong. Then Trainor cuts in and begs him to tell the truth about the Demon King, to blame everything on him and save himself in front of the mob. But Irith absolutely does not want that. He got stronger because of the Demon King's teachings, and no matter how ugly the war was, he knows casualties happened on both sides. Trainor keeps pushing him to blame the Demon King like he wants him to throw his master under the carriage, but Irith suddenly breaks free from his father's grip, turns toward Trainor with a smile that feels way too calm for a moment. This ugly and asks what exactly is wrong with becoming the Demon King's disciple and learning some of his skills. He refuses to deny the growth he earned over the past 2 months, because that pain was real, and that strength is his. Then he finally snaps. Irith shouts at the crowd to shut up, and the whole arena goes still as he yells that he trained for a long time, endured pain and misery, and only escaped that hopeless life because his teacher showed him a new path. Everyone stares at him like he just confessed to summoning the apocalypse, while Hiro tells him to stop. In the next instant, Irith punches his father right in the face, and the entire arena is left in absolute shock that he actually hit Hiro. With tears in his eyes, he tells him that he has suffered every single day from being compared to him, crushed under those expectations while never once receiving the support he needed. Then, broken and shaking, he starts walking away, admitting that he no longer wants to be Hiro's son, and that it would have been better if he had never been born. That line lands like a knife to the chest, and he keeps walking no matter who calls his name. He hears Fiancé Fu rushing after him, probably expecting a lecture or one last dramatic intervention, but Bro is way past hearing any of that. Instead, he slams another spiral attack into the ground, forcing them to shield their eyes from the blast, and by the time they look again, Irith is already gone. He does not wait for anyone. He does not look back. He just vanishes like the last thread holding his old life together finally snapped. Still crying, he tunnels deep underground in total despair, replaying every memory of his childhood, his family, and the friends who used to mean everything to him. And when Sadith's horrified face flashes through his mind, the regret hits even harder, because now he realizes just how badly everything has spiraled out of control. By the time he emerges on the other side outside the city, he knows this is the worst day of his life. Under a sky full of stars and moonlight, Irith stands alone, crying in the dark like the world just took his whole heart. Trainor just stands there watching Irith lying flat on the ground, completely drained like Bro just speedran his entire mana bar in one fight, and it is obvious he can barely even stand after burning through that much power in such a short time. Irith finally speaks up, admitting that during the fight a small part of him really thought this would be the moment everything changes. He thought people would finally stop comparing him to his father, stop labeling him as just the hero's son, and actually see him for who he is. Not Hero's shadow, not some discount version, but Irith Regan, his own person. But reality hits him again because that dream still feels miles away, since no matter what he does, people still refuse to see his strength as his own. Trainor stays silent for a second, then drops the most insane solution like it is just casual advice, saying there is only one way for Irith to get what he wants, and that is to straight up surpass his father's achievements. He reminds him that Hiro is only revered because he defeated the Demon King who once ruled the world, and if Irith manages to top that, then people will have no choice but to acknowledge him, even if they hate it. Irith just stares at him like Bro just suggested he go beat the final boss of existence, because even imagining surpassing his father sounds insane. And the funniest part is, even Trainor himself does not fully know how that is supposed to happen, so now both of them are basically cooking a world-class goal with zero instructions. But Trainor is not done. He tells him that achievements are not limited to the Empire, and if Irith really wants to make a name for himself, then he needs to think bigger, way bigger. Not just his hometown, not just his country, but the entire world. If people in his own land refuse to see him, then fine, go make the whole world know his name instead. At first, Irith still hesitates, because that kind of ambition sounds like something only crazy people chase. But then memories of his childhood start creeping back in. The promises he made to himself, the dreams he shared with his friends, all the reasons he started this journey in the first place. And just like that, Even with barely any strength left in his body, he finds the will to push himself up from the ground. He declares that he will not let anyone deny his existence again, and will achieve something greater than his father. So with that resolve locked in, the two of them decide to head out, not just on some small journey, but all the way to the ends of the world. The knights are already spread all over the city looking for Raerth, and at this point the whole place is moving like somebody dropped a firecracker into an anthill. A man who seems to be the captain asks if anyone has found the boy yet, but there is still no trace of him anywhere. Just then an old man walks up to the squad and asks what kind of chaos is going on in the city. The knight captain explains that what happened during the match is the biggest incident since the war ended, which is basically the worst way possible for Raerth to make headlines. Meanwhile, Mamu is running all over the house checking room after room like she can still magically find him hiding somewhere, but her breathing turns short and frantic before she finally stops in front of Raerth's room. She lets out a heavy sigh because deep down she already knows he will not be there, especially now that proof of the Demon King's power has surfaced. The entire night squad, including Hero, has already gone out searching for clues about Raerth, but nobody has found anything. Part of her almost hopes they never find him at all, because if they do, it will probably lead to a fight that breaks everything beyond repair. She starts thinking back to the words Raerth threw at his father and wonders what had been happening to him all this time, for things to end with him using the Demon King's technique and clashing with his own parents. For the first time she really looks around his room and it hits her hard. There are books everywhere, study materials she and Hero never even had, and all the proof she needs to see how much effort he had been putting in this whole time. Our boy was out here grinding in silence, only to get buried under impossible expectations while his parents kept looking at the standards of the 7 heroes instead of the work he was actually doing. That realization hits Mamu like a truck and she drops to her knees, finally seeing all the ways she failed him. In a trembling voice she whispers an apology to Raerth for not being there when he was struggling, and for pushing all the responsibility of caring for him onto Sadith. Then a voice calls from outside the room, and she rushes out, only to realize Sadith is home instead of still being at the hospital where she should be. Sadith immediately asks about Raerth, and Mamu tells her they are still searching for him. Sadith explains that the nurses at the hospital were gossiping about him and talking like he committed crimes, so she wanted to get out of there as fast as possible. Mamu pulls her into a hug and tells her everything will be okay, but Sadith keeps talking, saying that everywhere she looked in town, people were spreading rumors that Raerth cheated in the tournament, and suddenly got stronger by using forbidden magic. Still, Sadith shuts all of that down right away, because she knows better than any of them. She says they are wrong because she has always been by Raerth's side, and has seen him train on his own to build his strength. In her eyes, he never cheated. Everything he showed in that fight came from his own hard work. Hearing that, Mamu looks at her with pure sorrow, realizing that Sadith understands Raerth better than even his own mother does. Even though she knows it may already be too late to fix what she has broken with her son, she still wants to see him again, and with that last bit of hope she begs Sadith to help her find him. Meanwhile, fiancé Fu and rival walk down the hallway with serious looks on their faces, and all of them are thinking the same thing. They want Raerth to give them one more chance. Our boy finally asks Traynor how long they have been walking, probably expecting a normal answer like 20 minutes or something chill, but the Demon King casually drops that it has been 3 hours. 3 whole hours. In a forest. No map, no Uber, no snacks. Raerth immediately starts tearing up because bro just realized he is not built for this survival arc at all. Meanwhile, Traynor is looking at him like, really? And tells him to stop whining, because finding a city in the middle of this giant forest is not happening anytime soon. So yeah, they are camping tonight, whether he likes it or not. That reminder hits Raerth hard, and his mind instantly goes back to his old life in the Grand Mansion where he had a soft bed, hot meals, and Sadith basically carrying his entire comfort level on her back. Traynor looks at him with pure disappointment like he just caught him lacking mentally, so Raerth quickly switches it up and says he can totally handle camping because he has to surpass his father. Bro went from I miss my bed to I am built different in 2 seconds just to save face. As they keep walking, Raerth asks if Traynor even knows how to set up camp, and the Demon King immediately puffs his chest like he has been waiting for this question his whole life. He proudly says everything about survival is stored in his head because he enjoys solo camping in his free time. Raerth instantly fires back, saying that is just because he has no friends, which hits so hard even the Demon King pauses for a second like his villain aura just took emotional damage. Right then, Raerth's stomach growls loud enough to break the moment, and now food becomes priority number 1. He spots a rabbit in the distance and instantly locks in like this is his redemption arc. Our boy charges at it with full confidence, but the rabbit starts dodging him like it is playing ranked, and Raerth is still in tutorial mode. After a few attempts, he is completely exhausted while the rabbit is out here moving like it has ultra instinct. Traynor steps in and explains that Raerth is at a disadvantage because he does not have the skills needed to hunt yet, and the rabbit knows the terrain way better than him. Before the lecture can even finish, the rabbit literally pauses and gives him a smug look like it knows he is trash at this, which is crazy disrespect for a creature that is about to be dinner. Seeing this, the Demon King finally decides to help and gives him a few tips. Werth takes a moment, regains his focus, and actually starts thinking this time. Instead of chasing blindly, he studies the terrain, plans his path, and waits for the right moment. With Traynor guiding him on when to move, when to jump, and where to cut off the rabbit, our boy finally pulls it off and catches it. He shouts in victory like he just cleared a boss fight, but Traynor immediately ruins the moment by telling him to gut it. That statement hits Erth like a plot twist. He freezes because if they want to eat, this is necessary, but he clearly is not ready for that kind of hands-on experience. Traynor even asks if he does not want to do it because he feels bad. Right as he is struggling with the idea, 2 more rabbits pop out of the bushes and just stare at him with sad eyes like they are watching their homie get packed up. Now Erth is stuck in a moral crisis he was not prepared for, and after a moment he gives in, names it Shooting Star, and lets the rabbit go. Traynor immediately starts going off on him because he just let their only food escape, and now they are back to being broke in the forest with 0 supplies. The argument is completely one-sided because Erth is just standing there while the Demon King is cooking him verbally. But before things can escalate further, a distant roar echoes through the forest. The ground starts shaking as heavy footsteps get closer, and just like that, the whole mood flips. Erth freezes in place, sweat dripping down his face as his brain starts going into panic mode. Then it appears. A massive figure steps out from the shadows, its glowing eyes locking onto them instantly. The creature towers over both of them, and in that moment, Erth realizes they might have just gone from hunting rabbits to being the ones on the menu. The Demon King takes one look at the creature and casually tells Erth that this is a tribal ogre, which is basically nature's final boss when it comes to raw strength. These monsters are infamous for catching bodies like it is part of their daily routine, and hearing that instantly makes Erth's childhood trauma kick in. Bro remembers all those stories where he was told ogres would eat him if he misbehaved, and now he is standing face to face with one like the universe is testing him personally. Traynor immediately warns him not to even think about fighting it because ogres are way out of his league right now, and that alone has Erth sweating like he just realized this is not a tutorial enemy. The ogre looks down at him and casually asks if he is lost, which somehow makes the situation even weirder. Erth freezes for a second before yelling at it to stay back like he is trying to scare off a stray dog, but the ogre's whole vibe suddenly shifts. Instead of attacking, it calmly reassures him that it has no intention of hurting him at all. Now Erth is confused because this is not how the big scary monster script is supposed to go. He starts thinking it might be a trap, but Traynor cuts that thought off immediately, saying ogres are not smart enough to pull off some mastermind deception like that. Then out of nowhere, the ogre invites him to its home for a meal. Yeah, bro just went from almost dying to getting invited over like it is a dinner date, and Erth does not know how to process that. He recoils instantly because all those horror stories are still living rent-free in his head, but Traynor, already annoyed, tells him to calm down and actually listen because this might be their only chance at getting food. Erth tries to argue back, but before he can keep yapping, the ogre lowers its head and apologizes, saying it understands why humans fear it, and that it did not mean to come off the wrong way. And that right there hits Erth harder than anything else. He suddenly realizes he just judged the ogre the same way people judged him for using the Demon King's technique. The irony is crazy, and bro gets humbled real quick. As the ogre turns to leave, offering to show him the way to the nearest city, Erth panics and shouts an apology, saying he was just cautious because he has never met an ogre before. Right on cue, his stomach growls loud enough to expose him, and the ogre just laughs like it already knew this kid was starving. From there, Erth starts following the giant through the forest, and along the way they exchange names. The ogre introduces itself as AKA, and Erth makes sure to hide his last name because he already knows that could bring unnecessary problems. AKA casually calls him kind for not running away like other humans, and he totally understands their reason. He is glad that Erth at least spoke to him. Erth reminds him that he did the same, but AKA points out that he apologized and accepted him. Our boy just awkwardly accepts it like he is still processing everything. They eventually reach Akea's cabin, and the first thing Erth notices is the farm that Akea has been maintaining to grow vegetables. Akea assures him that he lives alone as they head inside. Erth is shocked because instead of some monster cave, the place is actually neat, with a proper campfire and everything set up clean like a peaceful life. Akea gets to cooking while telling Erth to sit wherever he wants, and Traynor explains that the house was likely built by Akea himself, which makes it even more impressive. Akea is stunned, but Traynor jabs at him for being a child who even struggled to catch even a rabbit and let it go. Soon, the smell of food fills the place, and AK walks in like a proud chef, announcing the meal is ready. He sets down plates of meat, and Erth is staring at the food like he just unlocked a 5-star reward. He can't believe AKA made all of this, so the ogre explains about all the ingredients and where he got them from. The moment he takes a bite, it is over. The food is so good that bro starts crying mid-meal, which is crazy, but also valid because he has been starving in the forest this whole time. He knows Sadith won't approve his bad manners, but right now, the food is too good to care about that. So Erth gulps down every piece with great gusto while tears escape his eyes. Call sees the tears and immediately thinks he messed up the cooking, looking worried like a chef who just got a bad review. Earth cannot even talk because his mouth is full, so he flashes a peace sign like "Nah bro, this is fire," and after swallowing he explains that the food is amazing. He admits that he ran away from home and feels like he cannot take care of himself, but eating this meal made him feel warm and safe again. Even then he knows he cannot go back, so all he can do is keep moving forward. He thanks the guy, but aka responds with the same peace sign like they are locked in now. And he admits that even though he is an ogre, he hates fighting and has been living in the forest for 10 years just to avoid scaring humans. He calls Aerith a good person, but Aerith flips that right back, saying aka is the kind one here, and he feels a connection between them because of their situation. Then aka asks if Aerith can teach him about humans because he wants to make friends, and that question hits deep. Aerith looks down for a moment, thinking about everything, then looks back up with a small smile and tells him they are already friends. That line lands heavy, and now both of them are tearing up like this. Just turned into an emotional side quest nobody expected. Aerith was surrounded by his childhood friends who were all too high for him. He never thought he would have a friend who he could talk to on equal footing like this, so he is glad he left the Empire. Traynor is also surprised that the son of a hero who defeated the demons is calling a demon his friend. He also notices something hidden in the corner but stays silent. The next morning the sun rises and it is time for Aerith to leave. AKA points him toward the nearest city, and Earth thanks him for everything. AKA asks if he is sure about not going back home. Aerith confirms before asking if there is anything he wants in return from the town. Aerith knows he needs to get out of the Empire as soon as possible, but he does not want to make his friend feel lonely. AKA calls Aerith a good guy, but the human asks what he wants. AKA shyly admits he has always wanted to try human cake after hearing about how good it is, which is honestly the most wholesome request ever. Before they part ways, AKA gives him a handmade charm from his homeland for protection, and Aerith is genuinely impressed by the craftsmanship. AKA explains that he is hoping that the talisman will stop any danger in Aerith's journey. They say their goodbyes, and just like that our boy heads off toward the city, carrying food in his stomach, a charm in his hand, and a friendship he never saw coming. The rib's out here sprinting like his life depends on it, actually putting himself through voluntary training like a man who just discovered cardio yesterday and now thinks he's the main character. He's trying to recreate the same route from before, determined to get stronger, while Traynor is already in his ear telling him not to get carried away and run off like a lost NPC. But our boy is locked in because he wants to grab a gift for AKA and stack up whatever gear he can before the day ends. The problem? Bro forgot the most important thing in the entire economy: money. So the moment they hit the city, he starts job hunting like a desperate freshman on day one, only to get hit with a hard rejection. The guild guy basically tells him, no ID, no job, no life, and sends him packing. Aerith even offers to do chores like he's applying to be a housemaid, but the dude shuts that down too, explaining that without proper documents or academy credentials, they can't even register him. And the only guilds that ignore those rules are straight up shady black market type operations. Basically, if you're not certified, you're cooked. And even if he did have an ID, that would expose him as Aerith Reagan, which would immediately snitch his location to his dad and the entire empire. So now he's stuck in that awkward middle ground, where being legit ruins him, and being illegal might ruin him even faster. While he's spiraling in his own thoughts, someone tells him to move because he's blocking the line, which is honestly just insult on top of injury. Bro can't even be broke in peace. Now walking around the city like a rejected side character, he starts realizing he has zero income, zero plan, and zero options. Traynor, meanwhile, is low-key roasting humanity, wondering why people care about paperwork instead of actual skill. Aerith just wants to leave the Empire as soon as possible, but without money that dream is looking more fictional than anime logic. Right when things couldn't look more depressing, they hear a crowd going crazy and decide to check it out. Pushing through, they find a go match happening in the middle of the street. It's that same black and white stone game Traynor saw before. And of course the Demon King suddenly turns into a walking encyclopedia, explaining that this game has been around for over 1,000 years and was basically demon entertainment back in the day. Aerith is not impressed. He's like, yeah, if demons played it, of course it's called the Demon King's game. The announcer starts hyping things up, asking if anyone dares to challenge Shinobi Stork, a Japoni resident who's been farming wins non-stop. Same age as Earth, but apparently built different. The prize? A clean 100,000 Subaras. Now suddenly, everyone's paying attention, especially Earth, because bro just went from unemployed to seeing a potential payday. But here's the catch: if you lose, you pay up. And Shinobu is standing there talking like she's the main event, calling herself beautiful, stylish, and basically God's favorite creation, while roasting the crowd for staring at her. The audience is impressed, but also ready to throw hands because her attitude is doing way too much. Traynor sees the money and immediately tells Earth to step up, even though our boy doesn't know a single rule of the game. But the Demon King is confident, saying he doesn't need to know anything, That's all the reassurance Aerith needs because apparently trusting a ghost demon king is now part of his life choices. So he walks forward and challenges her, and the crowd instantly switches to "Good luck, bro. You're gonna need it." Shinobu takes one look at him and basically says he doesn't look like he knows what he's doing, which low-key pisses him off, but he holds it in. She accepts anyway because she's bored and wants someone her age to play against. And just like that, the match starts. Well, technically Trainer starts because Aerith is just the human controller at this point. Move 1 goes down, and Shinobu immediately calls it outdated. Trainer claps back saying it's from 15 years ago, like that's supposed to make it cooler. But then things flip real quick. She makes her move, pauses, and suddenly starts trembling because she realizes she just walked into a trap. And Trainer, bro, is enjoying this way too much, basically setting up a scenario where no matter what she does, she's cooked. Attack and she loses control. Defend and her whole setup collapses. Aerith is sitting there clueless, needing a full tutorial mid-match, while Shinobu is getting mentally dismantled. In the end, she has no choice but to surrender, and the crowd loses their mind. Meanwhile, Aerith is just standing there like, yeah, I totally did that. He grabs the prize money, securing his first bag without even understanding the game, which is honestly peak efficiency. Shinobu, now fully invested, immediately asks for a rematch. She doesn't even care about the money anymore. She just wants revenge because she's never lost to someone her age before. Not in skill, not in looks, nothing. Narrate, knowing full well he was just being piloted the whole time, tries to dip, but Trainer is ready for round 2. Our boy shuts that down instantly, saying it's too much work and makes an excuse about having other plans. Shinobu, however, is not letting this go. She straight up decides to follow him like a side quest he never accepted. Then things somehow get even weirder. In her excitement, something literally pops out of her chest and drops to the ground. Aerith is in full shock, questioning reality itself, while she casually picks it up, stuffs it back, smiles, and runs off like nothing happened. The crowd is left confused, and honestly, so is everyone else. Now with money in hand, Aerith hits a bakery and immediately gets distracted by all the cakes like a kid in a candy store. Trainer tries to guide him, suggesting something reasonable like a creme cake or cupcakes depending on budget. But our boy, nah, he decides to buy one of everything because apparently his financial strategy is why choose when you can go broke faster. Trainer is already realizing that this guy has zero sense of money, but Aerith defends himself by comparing it to a princess who once bought an even crazier cake. Trainer basically tells him to stop comparing himself to royalty, which is fair because bro is one bad purchase away from bankruptcy again. While waiting, he orders tea and starts eating, then randomly asks Trainer if he ever feels hungry despite being dead. Trainer says he doesn't feel cravings anymore, but he would still be curious about new food. And Aerith, being the emotional idiot he is, orders another serving as an offering. He even gets embarrassed saying it out loud, while Trainer calls it wasteful, but eventually the Demon King accepts it, because even ancient overlords aren't immune to free food energy. Right as things calm down, they notice smoke rising from the mountains. People start talking about ninja outcasts from Japan hunting monsters up there. And the moment Aerith hears that, his mood flips instantly, because there's a good chance AKA is involved. Now the mission just got real. The bakery worker finally comes out with all the cakes packed and ready, only to realize our boy is already gone. Bro didn't even wait, he just dipped. Meanwhile, Aerith is out here sprinting through the forest like he just unlocked a panic speed boost, because the moment he hears AKA might be in danger, everything else stops mattering. Enro casually drops that AKA himself said humans are afraid of him, which means if word got out about an ogre, hunters were definitely dispatched. And yeah, that checks out because Aerith knows exactly how people treat ogres. He literally saw it when he first met AKA. Fear first, questions never. So now he's running even faster, trying to reach him before something goes wrong. But before Trainer can even finish whatever info he was about to drop, boom, they get stopped. Some random guy pops up asking what a kid is doing out here alone, talking about how the roads are closed because there's a dangerous ogre around. Aerith immediately clocks it. Japuhon hunter. No hesitation. The hunter doesn't even deny it. Bro's like, yeah, we're known now, basically flexing his occupation. Meanwhile, Trainer quietly warns Aerith that he's not alone. One behind, one to the right. Yeah, they really thought they were slick with it. The hunter keeps pushing the same NPC dialogue, telling him to take a detour, but Aerith cuts straight to the point and asks what they did to the ogres. And the answer? They wiped them out. Just like that, no hesitation, no remorse, just we culled them. Now the hunter starts going on about history, talking like he's narrating a documentary. Back in the day, the Demon King's army had monsters everywhere, especially ogres, and they were out there folding humans on the front lines. Even though the Demon King is gone, the leftovers are still out there, and in his mind, every single one of them is a threat. So as long as monsters exist, humans aren't safe. Simple logic. Except, Aerith knows that's straight up wrong. AKA isn't like that at all. Bro's literally chill, kind, and just wants friends. So Aerith does what he always does. He opens his mouth and starts defending him. Even though Trainer already knows this is a terrible idea, he explains everything. how aka helped him, how he was scared at first but realized he's actually a good guy. He's basically giving a full character testimonial, mid-enemy encounter, like that's gonna change anything. The hunter? Completely unmoved. He just thinks Aerith is yapping nonsense and trying to interfere. And that's when Aerith snaps. Bro charges straight at him, calling it what it is, a crime, saying aka is his friend. But before he can even land a hit, the hunter vanishes in smoke like a budget ninja movie, and Aerith just eats the ground. Waki. Then suddenly Shinobi shows up like she's been waiting for her cue, casually greeting him like this is a reunion and not an ambush. The hunter is confused, but she clears it up saying they met earlier in the city. Then she casually says it's time for Aerith to go to sleep. Except, he doesn't blow. Bro literally stands up behind her. She thought she knocked him out, but he shifted at the last second and dodged it. That was way closer than she expected. Now she's realizing this isn't going to be as easy as bullying a random kid. Aerith, on the other hand, is locked in. He's not here to talk anymore. He's here to get through them. But one of the hunters steps forward like a hero in his own story, saying they don't need 3 people for a kid. Classic mistake. He charges using some Japoni technique, moving fast, trying to look untraceable. Trainer watches and is like, yeah, that's not impressive. Meanwhile, Aerith just stands there waiting, and the moment the guy gets close, he hits him with a clean hello there punch, straight into the sky. 1 hit, gone. Shinobi and the other hunter are just standing there like, yeah, we might have underestimated him. Now Aerith starts moving too, pulling out his own step technique, and Shinobi thinks he's copying their style. Trainer immediately corrects that. Nah, that's from his training. It just happens to look similar, because good techniques always overlap. The second hunter tries to attack, but Aerith fakes him out, comes in from another angle, and lands a hit that almost sends him flying. Now the hunter finally realizes this isn't a kid, this is a problem. Trainer is just watching like a coach, noticing the guy is still standing but mentally shaken. Compared to the real threats he's seen, this is slow, sloppy, and honestly mid. The hunter tries one more move, starts chanting, and Trainer explains it's a ninja technique. Japone has samurai for direct combat and ninjas for sneaky stuff, and this guy is clearly the sneaky type. He summons a wind attack, trying to overwhelm Aerith. Aerith responds instantly, throws up a kilo Aerith wall, blocks it, then flips the situation with a rock diversion and lands a solid hit that sends the ninja flying. Fight over. Now our boy is feeling himself a little too much, talking like he just cleared a boss fight, but Trainer immediately shuts that down, calling him out for getting cocky over small fry. Bro just wanted a little praise and got humbled instead. Trainer reminds him that ninjas are dangerous because of stealth, not direct fights, and the only reason Aerith is winning is because he's been trained way above their level. Basically, this isn't even a fair matchup. Then Shinobi steps forward. Now she's smiling, saying he's strong enough to beat her companions, and if things were different, she might have even fallen for him. Yeah, she switches up real fast. Aerith immediately fumbles the moment by roasting her fake chest situation, which honestly, fair. But that joke? Yeah, wrong timing, because her entire vibe shifts. Her aura turns dark, and suddenly she's not playing around anymore. She starts talking about how she's never lost in Go, beauty, or combat, except to her brother, who's connected to one of the 7 heroes. Even Trainer gets serious hearing that name. Now she steps forward, fully locked in, inviting him to fight properly. Shinobi are supposed to be the shadowy goats who never hog the spotlight and just quietly carry the whole nation on their backs like underpaid legends. Back when Shinobi was just a little kid, she got hyped without thinking too hard and enrolled in ninja school, dead set on becoming one of them. At first, she was cooking everybody. Her talent was so cracked that people kept glazing her non-stop, praising her insane skills like she was the second coming of stealth itself. But then the passion died way faster than expected. The classes started feeling useless, the excitement dried up, and she began hating every second of it. Still, she kept coping with the idea that once she graduated, life would finally get better. Yeah, about that. The mission waiting for her was babysitting some spoiled rich brat who wanted ninjas to cosplay characters from his favorite story and dance around for his amusement. Bro really turned elite shinobi into party entertainers. One of Shinobi's companions obviously objected because using ninja-like street performers is straight-up nasty work, but he got shut down immediately. They were told that with the Demon Lord defeated and the world finally at peace, Shinobi no longer had wars to fight. Basically, their whole skill set got hit with the unemployment beam. The man in charge kept yapping that everything was fine because a high-level shinobi recognized by Kojiro of the 7 heroes had been allowed to serve that family due to his achievements. And if that was not depressing enough, they also learned that lower-level shinobi who only knew battle had fallen so low that some were selling their bodies just to scrape by. At that point, Shinobi's passion did not just fade, it got packed up and buried 6 feet under. She and her companions decided to leave Japan, since the country clearly had no use for shinobi anymore, and from then on she just drifted through life doing whatever she was told. Or at least that is what she thought, until she met Aerith. Meanwhile, Aerith is instantly on guard because Shinobi's whole vibe changes out of nowhere. He originally thought she would be the easiest one and basically the bonus round, but now he realizes that rushing this fight like the others would get him folded. While he is still thinking things through, a knife comes flying straight at his face and he barely dodges in time. Shinobi compliments his reflexes like she is being nice, then immediately follows it up by spamming more knives because apparently kindness has left the chat. Trenar tells him this is the specialty of the kunai ninja type, a weapon-throwing style that is a terrible matchup for his physical combat. He advises Aerith to move in carefully and force the fight into close quarters. Aerith tries to listen, only to narrowly avoid a swinging log trap a second later. At that point it finally clicks for him that his earlier wins came way too easy. One enemy underestimated him and the other was basically set up to lose so someone else could shine. This time the gloves are off and the scam is gone. Shinobi keeps pressing him non-stop, throwing attacks while he runs around dodging like his life depends on it, which to be fair, it does. Then she uses evasion art, fog wind, and the whole battlefield turns annoying. Aerith is caught off guard, but Trenar immediately tells him the real issue is that his sight is now blocked, which is kind of a huge problem when someone is trying to turn you into a knife rack. Trenar is about to predict her location, but Shinobi beats him to it and attacks again. Earth yanks the blades out and fires Kilo Thunder toward where they came from, hoping to tag her, but Trenar shuts that down instantly. The enemy is constantly moving, so random attacks are just him burning mana for no reason. He is not fighting smart, he is just panic-spending magic like it is Black Friday. Getting frustrated, Earth yells at her to fight fair, which is exactly the kind of thing you say when you are getting cooked. Trenar immediately reminds him that until now he has just been lucky. The first opponent went in brain first and underestimated him, while the second was basically sacrificed for someone else's success. Real fights are not neat, fair, or polite. There are no rules, no clean conditions, and no referee about to save you. Dirty tricks, traps, cheap shots, all of it counts, because the dead do not get to complain, and the survivor is the one who writes the truth. This girl is a real warrior from outside the Empire, and Aerith is clearly starting to hit his limit, so Trenar decides he may need to step in just a little. At the same time, Aerith is also thinking through the mess. Running and countering is not working, and attacking blind is just wasting power. He considers blowing away the fog, and right as that idea lands, Shinobi watches him closely and wonders if he has more stamina than expected. Still, she sees no sign of an actual comeback, so she decides the show is over. With that, Shinobi uses ninja art, Stone Valley, and a barrage of stones comes crashing toward Earth. But our boy is not about to go out like a side character in episode 3. He unleashes a massive spiral attack with Trenar's power, blowing away the fog, the trees, and basically the whole setup Shinobi had built. She is shocked because in one move he deletes every obstacle between them and finally exposes her position. Shinobi knows she needs to disappear again and immediately tries to run, but Aerith is faster now, and she cannot react in time. The instant she sees that blinding light closing in, she realizes she has already lost, and weirdly enough, instead of hating it, her heart starts pounding like crazy. Everything feels hot, alive, and burning in the best way possible. This is what she has been waiting for her whole life, the kind of thrill that makes all the old passion come roaring back. She is completely ready to take that final punch to the face too, but then Ingwraith stops at the last second and declares her defeated instead. Though that instantly flips her mood. Shinobi gets angry and asks if she is not even worth finishing off properly, but then Ingwraith snaps back that he cannot just beat her up because it would be a waste of her good looks. Bro really looked death in the eye and chose flirt dialogue. He even tells her that if she wants to get punched, she needs a more punchable face. Shinobi just blanks out for a second like her entire system crashed, and then she blushes so hard she looks ready to combust. Trenar can already tell that Aerith has probably never hit a woman in his life, even though he is dead serious when it comes to the princess. Mintzev immediately says that the princess does not count because that thing is a monster, which is absolutely insane behavior but also very on brand for him. Meanwhile, Shinobi was just frozen there, burning up from head to toe, feeling so hot she might actually melt on the spot. Shinobi was now chasing Mintz like she just unlocked a new obsession, and Bro is her final boss. She is out here trying to collect his full character profile, like it is a Pokemon card, asking for his name, height, weight, probably his blood type next, but Aerith is not letting her get anywhere near him. He straight up asks why she is even following him, and instead of answering normally, she hits him with a full introduction like she is applying for marriage on the spot. She proudly declares that she is Shinobi Stork, eldest daughter of the Shinobi family, a Jonin, child prodigy, undefeated in Japponi Go tournaments, and then casually drops that her type is Eroth. Yeah, she really said all that with a straight face. Trennar is just watching this unfold like he accidentally opened the wrong anime genre and says this human girl is completely beyond his understanding. But honestly, he is not wrong because even Arth, who is also human, cannot process what just happened. One minute she is trying to delete him, and now she is acting like his biggest fan. That switch up is so fast it should be illegal. Her energy is way too chaotic, so Arth decides the safest move is to keep his distance before she does something even crazier. Shinobi then claims she is actually trying to help him, saying her brother is just ahead and he is way stronger than her. According to her, this guy is a certified genius recognized by Kojiro of the 7 heroes, basically the type of dude who walks into a fight and makes everyone else look like NPCs. Ernst is already tired of hearing about geniuses and legendary heroes, but before he can complain further, they finally reach the edge of the forest. And the moment they step out, the whole scene is pure chaos. Trenar is not even surprised. He already saw this coming and calls the Shinobi complete idiots, because there is no way a regular human squad is taking down an ogre. AKA is standing there in full rage mode, and Shinobi immediately calls out to her brother while Aerith calls out to AK. But instead of a friendly reunion, AK hurls a chunk of wood straight at Aerith like he is trying to send him to the Afterlife Express. Trenar explains that AK has completely lost control. His home was burned down by those Shinobi and now he is in full berserk mode. At this point, he is not recognizing anyone, not even Aerith. Hearing that hits hard because AKA was never like this. He was chill, kind, just trying to live peacefully, and now everything he built is gone. Aerith looks at him and feels that heavy fear creeping in. The ogre's roar alone makes his legs shake, his body stiffens, his eyes cannot even focus properly. Even knowing AKA is his friend, his instincts are screaming that stepping forward means instant death. Trenar recognizes it immediately. This fear is normal. Anyone facing a raging ogre who just lost everything would feel the same. But now comes the real question. Aerith always hated how demon folk were treated, always spoke against discrimination, but now he is standing in front of something terrifying beyond reason. So what is he going to do? AKA is in pain, shouting that he just wanted to live peacefully. His house, his fields, everything he worked for is gone, and he just wants it back. Meanwhile, the so-called genius cannot even process that an ogre might want peace. In his mind, ogres only exist to destroy, so he refuses to believe a single word. Trenar points out the obvious. Words are useless now. AKA cannot hear anything anymore. The ogre raises his fist to finish the genius, but suddenly ogre jumps in and kicks the attack away, standing right in front of him. He tells the Shinobi straight up that he will never forgive them for what they did to his friend. If Ake was not already going wild, he would have beaten them himself. Then he tells them to get lost, and for once they actually listen and leave. But now it is just Orf and Ake. He looks at him and says humans can be really cruel sometimes. When people are scared, they hurt others without understanding anything. Just like how humans label demons and ogres, they act without thinking. He admits that he does not believe AKK would destroy things for no reason, but at the same time he also became like those humans. He is scared of him too. The irony hits hard. He hated being labeled his whole life, yet here he is doing the same thing. Shinobi tries to warn him not to do anything stupid because a human has no chance against a raging ogre, but Aerith immediately shuts her down. Things got this bad because of people like them, so she has no right to speak. Then he turns back to Akaba and tells him to take out all his anger and pain on him. Yeah, bro just volunteered to be a punching bag against a boss monster. AKA does not hesitate and starts attacking, while Shinobi and her brother just watch, completely unable to understand what kind of friendship this even is. Shinobi knows they should run, but they caused this mess, so they have no right to leave. Meanwhile, Aerith is dodging everything barely, knowing one clean hit will turn him into ground meat. Trenar points out that AK is only getting more irritated because Aerith keeps avoiding him, and things are about to get worse. Aerith hesitates to face him directly, but Trenar reminds him of his own words. He said he would take AK's anger and sadness, so what is his plan? What is his solution? Aerith does not get it, so Trenar says it clearly. This is not about winning or losing. If he stands his ground and faces it head on, his feelings will reach AK. And just like that, Aerith stops moving completely. Shinobi was shocked because bro is about to take that punch straight to the face like it is a daily routine. AKA swings, and the impact lands, but somehow the ogre is the one reacting to the pain. Trenar casually explains that the forehead is the hardest part of the human body, and with proper technique, even an ogre's strike can be resisted. Basically bro just used his head as a shield and said we ball. Aerith is barely holding on. His skull feels like it is about to crack, but he keeps standing. He keeps taking hit after hit, apologizing to AKA. He tells him he is sorry for not protecting his house, sorry for not thanking him properly, sorry for everything. AKA fed him, helped him, treated him kindly, and he never even got to repay that properly. Nothing has changed. Humans and ogres both get angry when something precious is taken away. The only difference is strength. Shinobi is still confused because logically if they just leave, the ogre should calm down eventually, but Aerith is risking his life for this. Trenar, hearing her thoughts makes it clear. She would not understand. Earth knows what it feels like to be feared, to be rejected, to be misunderstood. That is why he is willing to stand there until the very end and reach out to Akka no matter what. That is what a real hero looks like. Not the title, not the fame, but risking everything for someone else. Finally, Akka's body starts giving out. He cannot keep going. Everything he built is gone, and he has nothing left. He just wants it all back, but he cannot even move anymore. Then he hears someone calling his name. When he opens his eyes, he sees Earth right in front of him, touching his head before collapsing. Udferpies als Dafetade. He realizes he just beat down the only person who stood by him. But Earth, barely conscious, still smiles and raises 2 fingers, saying he would do anything for a friend. AKA cannot understand why someone he met just yesterday would go this far. And that is when Earth drops the real reason. Everyone else only ever saw him as the hero's son, nothing more. But AK was the only one who looked at him and said he was amazing. And for Earth, that meant everything. An ogre with god-tier destructive power, and bro absolutely hates it. Yeah, that's AK's whole character in one sentence. Meanwhile, Earth wakes up feeling like his head just got used as a punching bag in a heavyweight championship. The moment he tries to move, it feels like his skull is about to split open, so he instantly folds back down like, yeah, I'm not built for this right now. Then he notices he's fully patched up and immediately asks AK if he did it, but AK casually drops that it was actually Shinobi. And now here's the crazy part. AK didn't trust those humans at all, and honestly, who would after they literally burned his house down? But Shinobi pulled up, threw away all her pride, and started apologizing like her life depended on it, even rubbing her face on the ground. She straight up admitted she had no right to be there but said Aerith was important to her, and Ake, being the softest giant alive, just could not say no to that kind of desperation. Well, Aerith is confused because in his mind they just met, so how did things escalate this fast? Ake just shrugs it off and says they helped a lot, even treated his injuries too. Then he hands Earth a book Shinobi left behind, and bro opens it thinking it's something normal, only to realize it's an exchange diary. Except it's not really an exchange diary, it's basically a full-on emotional confession mixed with a TED talk about why Earth is built different. But Shinobi writes that she heard his name but refuses to say it because she wants to hear it directly from him, which is already crazy behavior. Then she starts going off about how she watched him fight, how he stood against Japoni Jonin, how he never gave up, how he went head-to-head with a raging ogre just to save his friend. She says she has seen countless warriors, but people like him are rare. And then she hits the emotional damage combo, saying that watching Ekavi cry over him made her realize how shallow she was. Her biggest regret is destroying Ekavi's home just for rewards. In this point, Earth realizes this is not a diary. This is a whole apology letter wrapped in feelings. AKA then adds that even the Shinobi leader apologized and promised to rebuild everything they destroyed, but AKA told them to leave. He wants nothing to do with them anymore. And honestly, you can't blame him. Some damage can't be patched up with a my bad and a construction plan. Bro keeps reading, and then it escalates again. Shinobi straight up says he stole her heart, and she wants to be with him as soon as possible. She even prepared a whole list of questions about his life, like she's about to conduct a full interview. Bro sees the never-ending questionnaire, and immediately slams the book shut, like nah, this is too much. He can't even explain this situation to AK, because where do you even start? Bro, while eating, Warlef asks AK what he plans to do next, and AK keeps it real. He says he has to leave because now that humans know he exists, more will come after him. Then Khanid, without hesitation, asks if he wants to come along. He talks about wanting to see the world, gain experience, and become someone who can achieve great things. Basically, bro is pitching a whole adventure arc and inviting AKA to be his duo partner. AKA is genuinely touched. He asks if it's really okay for him to follow him around, and Irk just smiles like it's the most normal thing ever. They start talking about where they could go, what they could do, and for a moment everything feels peaceful. AKA is just grateful that he found a friend who accepted him and even saved him. Then the next day hits like a betrayal arc. Aerith wakes up under the trees, realizing he overslept, and immediately looks around for AKA. Instead, he finds a note, and the moment he starts reading it, his expression slowly drops. AKA apologizes again, and then drops the real reason he can't come along. Turns out bro has a whole dark backstory. AKA wasn't just some random ogre living peacefully. He used to be part of the Demon King's army. He didn't even grow up in a proper ogre village. He lived among dark elves until the war started, and then his whole family got drafted. That was the first time he saw what ogres were really like on the battlefield, and it was straight up nightmare fuel. They were tearing humans apart, burying them alive, trampling them like it was nothing. And AKA, being the gentle giant he is, was horrified. He admits that he has no excuse. His own parents were part of that destruction. He couldn't stop it, couldn't save anyone, and eventually couldn't take it anymore, so he ran away, became a traitor, got exiled from the demon world, and has been living alone for over 10 years, just trying to survive and maybe find some kind of peace. He thought making friends with humans would be easy, that maybe he wouldn't be alone anymore. But reality hit him hard. Humans don't forgive ogres. Not after everything that happened, except Earth did, and that's exactly why AKA decides to leave. He says Earth is important to him, and if he stays, he'll only make things harder. No inns, no towns, no normal life. He doesn't want to become a burden to the only friend he has. Earth finishes reading and immediately starts running, trying to chase him down like, nah, we are not ending it like this. But Traynor stops him with the cold truth. AKA left before sunrise. He's already gone. Even if he runs now, he won't catch up. But bro snaps, asking why he didn't say anything earlier, but Trainer tells him he respected AKA's decision. And honestly, AK made that choice because of who he is. He's too kind. He cares too much. And because of that, he'd rather suffer alone than risk hurting someone he values. Irith still runs anyway, screaming AKA's name into the forest, because bro is not built to just accept that kind of ending. Somewhere far away, AKA pauses, like he can hear him. He raises 2 fingers quietly, thinking of his friend under the same sky. And just like that, the duo that could have been splits before the journey even begins. Princess Fiancé is in the throne room going full crash-out mode, standing in front of the king like, nah, we are not doing this, and demanding he rethink his decision. She tells him straight up that Aerith is getting treated like a criminal in the city. People are already talking about locking him up for life, or straight up executing him, like bro committed war crimes. She calls out the royal family for losing both their minds and their hearts, saying this punishment is way too much. But the king shuts it down instantly. He tells her she doesn't understand the weight of what the Demon King's army did. Families were wiped out, people lost everything, and that pain didn't just disappear overnight. He still remembers the fear and anger like it happened yesterday. So even if Earth himself didn't do anything, the people don't care. They want someone to blame, and right now he's the target. Fiancé tries one last time, saying Aerith isn't part of that army and never hurt anyone. But the king hits her with reality again. People's emotions don't just change because the facts say otherwise. The masses won't be satisfied unless someone pays the price. He even admits that Aerith is the son of an important friend, which is why he let him stay earlier, but now his hands are tied. He tells her to give up on him. And yeah, that completely breaks her. She's standing there trembling because she knows she can't do anything from inside the system. Outside, Fu suddenly starts getting nostalgic out of nowhere and asks Rival if he remembers when all of them used to play heroes together. Rival is confused like, why are we bringing this up now? But Fu keeps going. Back then, Aerith was the one leading them. They used to talk about becoming heroes greater than their fathers, meeting up every day like a squad with main character energy. Fu remembers how bright and dependable Aerith was, how just hearing him talk made everyone else want to do better. Rival, on the other hand, just says that's all in the past. He thought Aerith would always guide them, but things changed once their abilities started diverging. The Aerith they admired disappeared, but Fu doesn't fully agree. He reminds him that Aerith changed again during the match. Back then they were close, but chasing their own goals slowly pulled them apart. Now he realizes he doesn't even understand Aerith anymore. Right then, Fiancé walks back in looking completely defeated. She tells them the exile decision hasn't changed. Even the king can't calm the people, and if Aerith is found, it's over. Then she just breaks down, saying Aerith is her other half, and even if the whole world turns against her, she will protect him. Before they can even process that, a knight shows up saying someone wants to see her immediately. Meanwhile, we cut to Hiro, and bro is getting hit with emotional damage flashbacks. He remembers Iro saying how much it hurt being constantly compared to him, how he felt suffocated by expectations, and how his own father never truly looked at him. Iroth even wished he was never born. Yeah, that hits different now. Bro Hiro wakes up and gets updated that the tunnel Iroth used to escape is blocked, and there are still no leads on where he went. At first, Hiro thinks Iroth couldn't have gone far because of his magic, but then he pauses. Something doesn't add up. During the match, Iroth used a ton of magic and still had enough left to escape. That's when it hits him. His son is way stronger than he ever realized, and that realization hurts more than anything. Hiro starts blaming himself, realizing he never listened, never understood Iroth's struggles or ambitions. Now he might lose him without ever fixing that. Then things get worse. A knight rushes in with new info, but instead of finding Iroth, they report that Fu, Rival, and Mamu have all disappeared. Cut to the squad. And yeah, they didn't disappear. They formed a whole rescue party. Fiancé, Fu, Rival, Mamu, and Sadith are all standing together like this is the start of a new arc. Mamu points out they've got more people than expected and tells Fiancé she doesn't have to come since she's literally royalty. But Fiancé shuts that down instantly. She says she's proud of her strength, stronger than most knights, and most importantly, she wants to find Irth with her own feet. She's not sitting in a palace waiting anymore. Fiancé says Irth is still their childhood friend no matter what, and Sadith steps in saying they all feel the same. They want him back, want to see him again, and actually understand what he's been going through. This time, they're not messing it up again. Mamu asks if they're ready, because from here on out, nothing is guaranteed, and everyone answers the same way. They're all in. Meanwhile, back in the forest, Irith is just moving forward quietly. No talking, no hesitation. Trainer notices and starts speaking, bringing up the past. There was once a dream, a world where humans and demons could coexist peacefully, something Hiro and his companions could do. Irith is surprised hearing this about his father, but Trainer explains that dream never fully worked. Differences in culture, values, and understanding always lead to conflict. Even people of the same race fight each other, so expecting peace between different races is even harder. Aerith asks if what he did for AKA was meaningless, and Trainer immediately shuts that down. It wasn't useless. He saved AKA. He gave him emotional support and fulfilled his wish by becoming his friend. But Earth still feels like that alone changes nothing. Trainor agrees, but only partially. He tells him not to forget what happened with AKA. Instead of stopping or mourning, he needs to move forward, get stronger, travel the world, and find his own answers. Even answers Hero couldn't reach. And just like that, the story shifts. No longer just about survival, no longer just about proving himself. Now it's about growth, about understanding the world, and maybe actually changing it.